I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order, and our city clerk is going to read our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mayor. The West Hollywood City Council acknowledges that the land on which we gather and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrielino Tongva and Gabrielino Kizh peoples.
Thank you. And now we're going to get started with our Pledge of Allegiance, and Mila Elizabeth Soskin is going to do the honors tonight. So please come forward, everyone rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You did a great job. Thank you. City Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Byers.
Here.
Councilmember Erickson.
Present.
Councilmember Meister.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hang.
Present.
Mayor Heilman.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Now let's turn to the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes from staff tonight?
There are no changes from staff, Mayor.
All right. Do any of my colleagues have any potential changes to the agenda?
I'm happy to take a shot at it, Mayor Heilman.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll start at the very end.
Okay.
F6, dedicated pickleball courts at Plummer Park.
Okay,
We've been-
Councilmember Meister
Would
has
love to
some
talk
discussion.
about it.
Okay.
All right, let's keep going. Direction, the book fair, F5.
Any objection? Okay, F5 will go to consent.
F4, the preschool expansion study.
Okay.
All right. Casey Wasserman, the resolution. You have questions on a sexual person? Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Yes.
We love that. Neighborhood resilience.
Any objection to moving that to consent? No. Okay.
Ice-free zones in West Hollywood. No questions?
No question.
All right. Wow. Okay, there we go. All right.
So that means F1, F2, F5 are moving to consent. Did I leave anything out?
Do we want to do the Halloween study, Mayor?
Okay, let's see if there are other items that might be able to be moved.
E2, it's E2, sorry.
E2.
Great.
I have some comments, but I can give them to staff privately. So E2 will move to consent.
What about, I'll leave one for the fun. D1, the prohibiting discrimination on the basis of family or relationship structure, the ordinance.
I think there's some direction that staff is
Sure.
asking on that item. So I'm supportive of the ordinance, but I think maybe we need to just leave it. Okay.
And I don't think E1's going to move to consent, but let me know. I didn't think so. I saw my colleagues shake their heads, so we'll leave that one, I guess.
E1? Okay, there are people who have questions. All right. So do you have all the changes?
I do. So we are moving E2, F1, and F2, and F5 to consent.
Great. I'd entertain a motion to approve as amended. I see a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes.
Here we go.
Motion passes 5-0.
We have an agenda. Thank you, everyone. We'll now turn to Levine Act disclosures. Do any of my colleagues have any disclosures tonight?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you. We have no disclosures tonight. We'll turn to adjournment motion. Vice Mayor Hang, I believe you have one.
Thank you, Mayor.
I would like to request that we adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Catherine Hartley Short. Catherine's passing is a profound and heartbreaking loss. She chose a life of service, walking alongside people in their most vulnerable moments and reminding them that they were not alone. Catherine earned her undergraduate degree in psychology from New York University, a path that reflected her early commitment to understanding the human experience. She later received her Master of Social Work from the USC School of Social Work, where I had the privilege of first meeting and working with her. We also completed our clinical internship together at the US Department of Veteran Affairs. Even then, Catherine had a rare presence, calm, compassionate, and deeply attuned to the people in front of her. She went on to earn her licensed clinical social worker credential and built a meaningful career in mental health here in Los Angeles. Her work included UCLA's Resnick Neuropsychiatric Hospital, the Camden Center's Dual Diagnosis Program, private practice, and Amy Health. She supported individuals and families facing serious mental health challenges, trauma, and crisis, work that requires not only clinical skill, but also heart. And even with a demanding career, she found time to volunteer for animal rescue and mental health nonprofits, including Bring to Change, the organization founded by actress Glenn Close and her family, which aims to empower young people to build connected, empathetic, and supportive school communities where conversations about mental health are welcomed and stigma-free. Catherine believed that mental health care is not just treatment, it's advocacy, compassion, and community. In a world where so many people struggle in silence, Catherine was someone who showed up. She listened, and she helped people find hope. She is survived by her father, Martin Short, and her brothers, Oliver and Henry. Our hearts are with them and everyone whose lives she touched. May we honor Catherine's memory by continuing to speak openly about mental health, by supporting those who are struggling, and by leading with the same empathy that defined her life. And with that, I ask that we adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Catherine Hartley Short. And if you or someone you know is struggling or experiencing suicidal thoughts, please call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. It's free, confidential, and available 24/7. You are not alone. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Erickson.
Thank you so much, and I'm very sorry for your loss, Vice Mayor. I would like to adjourn in memory of Elda Mae Erickson, my great aunt who passed away at the age of 96 in Arcadia, Wisconsin, and Minneapolis, and she was from New Richmond. She moved around a lot, but she loved Minnesota. She passed away on this past week on February 26th at 2:30 p.m. in Deerfield Gables Nursing Home in New Richmond, Wisconsin. She was a beloved wife of Eddie Erickson of 54 years, my grandfather's brother. Aunt Elda was survived by many nieces and nephews because when you're Norwegian and you're in the Midwest, you reproduce a lot. And she would take that comically as well because she literally had to keep a notebook of all the people that she had in her relations. Aunt Elda was such a wonderful person, and her laugh was infectious. She was the biggest Packers fan known to man, and even when I went to Packer games out here in Los Angeles, she always requested a group photo, win or lose. She married my great uncle Ed, and they moved to Minneapolis, where she worked for Farmers Home and Mutual Insurance Company from 1966 to retirement in 1995. She enjoyed creating a beautiful boulevard full of flowers each year while living in Minneapolis, and it was a true masterpiece. She read many books. She loved her tacos, BLTs, and liver. I never understood that one. Poppy seed and raspberry coffee cake from Bushy's Bakery in Independence, Wisconsin was always one of her favorite treats. And she enjoyed bowling, reading the Bible, putting together picture puzzles, as well as laughing. She was always knitting and crocheting. And if you knew her the most, you would likely to have one of her masterpieces, which I still do to this day. She enjoyed her computer, keeping in touch with distant relatives, and staying on top of all Green Bay Packer news. And even when I went to college, I would get an email from her almost every week asking me how cold it was in Whitewater, Wisconsin. She enjoyed going shopping and would walk nearly everywhere, and her favorite line was, "Hi, my name is Elda, and I'm a Green Bay Packers fan," if you're sensing a theme. After moving back to her home state, she took a liking to Spotted Cow, a beer exclusively offered by Wisconsin, and something she still enjoyed into her later years. While living in Minneapolis, she and Ed were very involved in the Lutheran Church, volunteering and working at nursing homes, Meals on Wheels for the needy. When her husband Ed passed away in 2017, she became a resident at an independent living facility, which she really enjoyed. I will miss her very much, and I will miss continually getting a phone call from Elda Erickson on my phone every Sunday. Rest in peace, Aunt Elda.
We're very sorry for your loss. Councilmember Meister.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Tonight, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Sally Kirkland, an acclaimed actress whose extraordinary career spanned more than 6 decades in film, television, and theater. She was widely recognized for her powerful performance in the film Anna, for which she received an Academy Award nomination and a Golden Globe Award. Sally passed away last November at the age of 84. Sally was she was also a longtime resident of West Hollywood. In interviews, she spoke warmly about the community, expressing appreciation for the city's unique character and creative spirit. For 10 years, she hosted a public access television program, Sally Kirkland and Friends, which aired weekly and featured conversations with artists, community members, and public figures, including Jeff Prang, who also previously served on West Hollywood City Council. She was also known for her advocacy efforts supporting people living with HIV/AIDS, demonstrating compassion and commitment beyond her work in the arts. We extend our condolences to all who were inspired by Sally. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And finally, I would request that we adjourn in memory of Neil Sedaka, West Hollywood resident and legendary musical artist. Neil was an internationally acclaimed singer, songwriter, and pianist. His extraordinary career spanned more than 6 decades. His timeless hits included Calendar Girl, Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, and Laughter in the Rain. His songs became the soundtrack for many generations and firmly established him as one of the defining figures in American pop music. As a member of our community, he enriched the cultural fabric of West Hollywood. His artistry, talent, and enduring legacy will continue to inspire audiences around the world for many years to come. I would request that we adjourn in his memory tonight as well. And now we'll turn to presentations. We have one presentation tonight, and if my colleagues can join me, we're going to present a certificate of recognition to Mila Elizabeth Soskin, and she led us in the Pledge of Allegiance so well tonight. So if Mila could come forward, and if you want your family to join you, they can as well. Thank you, everyone. Now we're going to turn to public comment. The council values your comment, but we cannot take action on anything that is not listed on tonight's agenda. The public comment period is for you to address the council on consent calendar items and any other agenda items if you cannot be present later in the evening, or any item of general interest. Another period is reserved at the end of the meeting if we're not able to accommodate everyone at the beginning. And I see we have a number of speakers. Do we have any on Zoom tonight?
We have one individual on Zoom.
Okay. Let's start with the comments on consent calendar items. I see Tom DeMille to be followed by Anita Goswami.
Tom DeMille, it looks like Captain Tom in his outfit, but I guess it's fitting because I want to talk about Captain Fantastic, who's Elton John. He'll be here, definitely be here on March 14th. He'll be here for the party on the 15th. March 14th is on a Saturday, Mr. Mayor, and we could have the world's press is here waiting for the show to start, but they're just here doing nothing. So let's give them a reason. Right here, we can have 800 people. Let's claim this worldwide, that you can be the second star on the other side of the street, okay? Or next to him, wherever you want. But I want to start holding on to our own history, as in the 100th anniversary of Route 66. Let's erect a neon sign that says 100 years of Route 66. Let's claim that. It's our history. Same thing with the history of the music up on Sunset. There's no boundaries. We should have a committee to decide what we're going to do with all this stuff, and don't let any of this history lesson pass us by. We definitely need to have the foot traffic with the new sidewalks, the Walk of Fame, the Icon Walk of Fame, the Music Walk of Fame. The Icon Walk of Fame will take you right down to the 8th Monument. It'll take you down to the pool, down to Greg Louganis' Star. It'll take you everywhere that you want them to go, just like they do on Hollywood Boulevard. And so what? If you can't do it, Mr. Mayor, if you can't get Elton John's footprints and handprints, because honestly, I've known him for 35 years, and he's not going to probably be around next year. And shame on us if we miss this opportunity. He's done so much for the city. We could have him do it 3 times. One for the A's Memorial, one for the Icon Sidewalk, and one for Sunset Music. I mean, there's no limit to what we can do with Mr. John, and we should take advantage of that. It might be our only chance with this apple, Mr. Mayor. And I've asked a number of people to help me. I've actually texted him, not knowing who it was, Reginald, who it was, you know. So I have to be careful of social media. Will you take care of this, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Tom. Your
Thank
time
you.
is up. Anita Goswami to be followed by Kevin Burton.
Wait, let me get out of here first.
Yeah, Anita, let Tom get back to his area.
Of course, of course.
Thanks, Anita.
Sure. Hi there, my name's Anita Goswami. I am a resident of the city of West Hollywood, speaking on item B10, which is an amendment to a contract with the Housing Workshop. While I submitted detailed notes already in writing, I want to reiterate that a contract on housing that extends to June 2027 is just inappropriate when the housing development project approvals and significant legislative changes are evolving so much faster. You'll see this later in the major projects update. But these analyses, which are the work product of this contract, I think those analyses would be out of date as the city and the world will have moved forward. You know, they will be studying housing, they're studying excellent topics, but waiting for 1.5 years for this is crazy. We need to know that information now. And also, as noted in my comments, some of what's being studied, for example, storage units, housing affordability, some of these kinds of things are actually being decided now in staff and commission meetings. These are things, again, that are urgent. I just want to cite the urgency of this kind of analysis. I know one of the deliverables is a study session with the City Council. I hope that the public will be involved in this because we all need to be learning more about this. Housing affects all of us, those who live here, those who want to live here. So I just ask that you look at this and send it back to be revised for faster delivery, and again, some of the specific items I put in my written comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kevin Burton to be followed by Chad Kroger and JT Parr. I think you usually come together.
Good evening, council members. Kevin Burton, resident of West Hollywood. And I want to express my support for item F2, community resilience teams. And I trust that in staff's analysis of these, and thank you, Councilmember Meister, for bringing this forward, that CERT trainees will be included in the discussions and the process because they've demonstrated a real commitment to community resilience. Secondly, I want to thank the city for making the intersection just up the street, San Vicente and Santa Monica, an all-way stop as part of the cycle. That is where it's a red light for all directions for traffic, for part of the cycle, and the walking man symbol comes up for pedestrians in all directions. Pedestrians can cross in either normal direction or diagonally. And last Thursday night, Councilmember Byers and I inaugurated the very first all-way crossing where the two of us crossed in an X pattern across that very busy intersection. And I trust that additional intersections will follow, and I'm hopeful that the intersection at La Brea and Santa Monica will be high on the list. It's badly needed. And I just wanted to finish by commenting that it's not only pedestrians. Bicycles that are waiting at the intersection are allowed to move with pedestrians whenever there's a walking man symbol. This is in the vehicle code. So if you're sitting there waiting in a car, the bicycle takes off with the pedestrian, goes any direction, that is perfectly legal. Thank you.
Thank you. Chad Kroger and JT Parr, to be followed by Logan G.
What up, council? My name is Chad. Dude, today we had the honor of helping a legend, this guy Logan, find his passion. On top of that, he kind of looks like Matthew McConaughey and has the same riz, so yeah.
What up, Dank Legends? I don't mean to ruminate on something that's beyond your jurisdiction, but today we were reflecting on jobs, and with the incoming AI displacement in that area, and tech companies basically ceasing to hire dudes out of college, I think it would behoove the government to create some sort of subsidy program to encourage companies to hire and retain human workers.
What up, council? My name is Logan Grube. Super happy to be here. So I've had the pleasure of spending the day with Chad and JT as they help me uncover what I'm passionate about, something that I personally have struggled with, and not in my day-to-day, my personal life, but also my professional life as well. And I've had the amazing opportunity today to learn the tricks of the trade from real professionals in the medical, law, and cosmetology fields. And it's never been more clear to me than today that we need more options and transparency in the professional world. Because there are many people out there like me who are, struggling to find out what they are passionate about, and we are realizing that there are not a lot of options available to switch and pivot careers. So I would like to propose to the powers that be that the government will institute a mandatory career day that allows the general public the option to come in and shadow different businesses with various professionals to get a real understanding of their respective jobs and allow for more flexibility in choosing and understanding their career paths. I think this would not only positively impact the future of Americans, which is super important, but also, spreading awareness about the diversity we have in the business in our local areas. Thank you, council. I appreciate your time. All right, all right, all right.
Thank you. That was Logan, JT. David Eichmann is our next speaker.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, council members. David Eichmann, resident of Los Angeles and a business owner in the city of West Hollywood. I came to talk about item F6 since I can't stay for the entire meeting, dedicated pickleball courts at Plummer Park. So as an older adult that plays pickleball, and as you get older, your eyesight becomes a little less sharp. So it makes the game much easier for older adults when you have dedicated pickleball courts. So I would encourage you to adopt the staff recommendation and do that striping. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Schmidt, to be followed by Lynn, et cetera. And that's our last speaker in chambers.
Good evening, Scott Schmidt, resident of West Hollywood and executive director of Emerald Village, West Hollywood. On Saturday in this very room, our organization hosted the first ever Cannabis Culture and Change Conference, co-sponsored by the city of West Hollywood. So first I want to thank you for all that you have done to help make this possible, not just by passing the co-sponsorship item on November 3rd, but going back to your leadership in the late 1900s before the turn of the century, in helping to support the Los Angeles Cannabis Research Center and responding after the federal raid and everything that you've done. And that was part of the story that we told. And I wish that everyone here could have felt the community and the warmth and the love in this room. because it's much needed in everything that we do. And it was also possible because with your support of the local cannabis industry over the past 5 years, we've been able to put West Hollywood on the global map. And we had people come from Massachusetts, from Oregon, from Orange County, from Palm Springs, from San Diego, from Sacramento, from San Francisco, just to be a part of this. We had, thanks to Vice Mayor Hang, we had State Treasurer Fiona Ma talk about the state of the cannabis industry. Bo Whitney, the global leading economist in cannabis, responded to what she had to say and say, hey, how do we fix our problems? It was really an amazing day. It was an amazing event. And I thank you all for being part of it. Thank you, John Erickson, for your enthusiasm and wanting to be there, and you too, Mayor Heilman, and especially Danny Hang. And it was great. So, no one's mentioned it yet, but Sunday is the Los Angeles Marathon. I know that impacts a lot of us. And a very easy way that you can be a winner, we are providing runner's medals to all of the dispensaries and lounges around town. And with just go in and make a purchase, and you're a winner, you'll get a pot trot and runner's medal. So thank you, have a great evening.
Thank you. Lynn, et cetera, to be followed by our speaker on Zoom.
Lynn, et cetera, West Hollywood. Chelsea, Danny, and John Erickson, I'm just throwing ideas out there for your re-election because it's such an incredible opportunity after decades of neglect to finally turn this first gay city in the world into a gay sanctuary. My idea is, I know a lot of people that are like me that did odd jobs and have lived here. I've lived here over 40 years, that we could have a guaranteed income for senior citizens who have lived in this city for 25 years. I've heard you've done a guaranteed income for other people. I know so many people that did odd jobs. We didn't put in a lot of money into our Social Security, and I hope that this city can become the gay sanctuary that it should have became in the first place, but this city chose to build low-income housing outside of the city. I live in the first building that was bought and redeveloped in West Hollywood, 7292 Fountain Avenue, and I know the West Hollywood City community housing has been an absolute disaster, just an absolute disaster. So anyway, I'm just throwing ideas out. I have a lot more. Thanks.
Thank you. We have one speaker on Zoom and then any citizen position slips.
Our next speaker is Adam Darvish. Adam, go ahead.
Yes, good evening. I'm Adam Darvish, the resident. I'm calling in tonight to express appreciation to the Sheriff's Station for using a patrolling officer on the bike in our neighborhood on the residential street, at least on my street. Almost every morning giving tickets, so thank you, our great Sheriff's Station team. I also wanted to thank Councilmember Erickson and Byers for the new agenda item for the I-3 zones on city-controlled properties. That's important to the immigrant community, and also the support from council members for the immigrant community. Thank you. And I wanted to share that this is the time to connect, support each other in this difficult time, the regional war in the Middle East. Many friends reached out to me since I have a mother, a sister, a brother, Iran, and the shared humanity and connection that provided stability and conflict to me. As I watched neighborhoods that I used to pass through in Iran up in smoke, I celebrated the elimination of their supreme leader, the Ayatollah, and at the same time felt sad to see my birthplace, Tehran, a beautiful metropolitan city, being bombed. I wish for peace and stability on earth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam. And then we have some citizen position slips.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We have citizen position slips from Mike Carter in support of items F1, F2, and F5.
Great. Thank you. That completes our public comment. We'll now turn to our city manager's report. Jackie.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and members of the public. I have a few updates. First, the LA Marathon, as Scott mentioned, the city reminds the community that the 41st annual Los Angeles Marathon will take place on Sunday, March 8th. To accommodate runners, some West Hollywood streets will be temporarily closed from 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. on race day. Residents and visitors are encouraged to plan alternate routes and allow extra travel time that morning. For more information about the race and course details, please visit weho.org/news or lamarathon.com. Secondly, I want to make an announcement about residential building access codes. The city is alerting residents and property owners that entry access codes have been found written on walls and entry panels in some residential buildings. While no related crimes have been reported, visible codes pose a security risk. We are getting the word out and asking residents and property managers to remove any written codes, update access codes, and avoid posting them in public areas. Please report suspicious activity to the West Hollywood Sheriff Station. And if you have questions, please contact our Public Safety Division at safety@weho.org. And I also would like to share that it is Women's History Month. March is National Women's History Month, and the city is in partnership with the Women's Advisory Board will host a series of events recognizing and honoring women and women's history. The Women's Health Symposium will take place on Saturday, March 7th, and International Women's Day will take place on Sunday, March 8th. Both events are at Plummer Park. The Women in Leadership Awards will take place later this month on Wednesday, March 25th. Please visit the city's website calendar for a full listing of all the events taking place, and please come and join us in celebrating Women's History Month. Mr. Mayor, this concludes my report for tonight.
Great. Any questions? Thank you. We'll now turn to the consent calendar. And City Clerk, what is the fiscal impact of the consent calendar as it's been amended?
The fiscal impact on tonight's consent calendar with the addition of items E2, F1, F2, and F5 is $2,086,932 in expenditures, $17,518 in revenue, and $0 in waived fees. And there is a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent calendar. And the motion passes 5-0.
For those of you who are new, the consent calendar is a series of routine items that we approve with a single motion. We will now move to our public hearing, item C1, and our city clerk, how was this noticed?
As required by law, Mayor.
I knew you would say that. Do any of my colleagues have any disclosures?
I spoke with the applicant, the project applicant.
Mayor, I spoke with the applicant.
I spoke with the applicant's representative on 2 occasions, and I also have been to the site. Let's start with our staff report, and then we'll hear from the members of the public and the applicant.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Jennifer Alkire. I'm the Assistant Director of Community Development. Here to present this project is Paul Caparasso from our Sunset Arts and Advertising Program team. And we also have Jason Chang with us to answer questions with the SAP team. Thank you. One moment, we're going to take care of.
It's not on there. Okay, that's okay. I'll just start. Sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor Howman, Vice Mayor Hang, members of the City Council. My name is Paul Caparasso. I'm the Senior Planner for the Sunset Arts and Advertising Program. And tonight I'll be presenting item C1, which is the Chrysalis Project located at 8222 Sunset Boulevard. The project is a proposal for a new two-sided full-motion animated billboard and public realm enhancements. Per Section 3B of the Sunset Arts and Advertising Policy, the project qualifies as an alternative project and is a part of the Round 1.5 Design Excellency submission process. Requested permits include a development agreement, a zoning map amendment, and a creative billboard. Currently, no signage exists on site, and the proposal would introduce 1,480 square feet of new full-motion animated sign faces, with an east face measuring approximately 1,000 square feet and a west face measuring 480 square feet. The project would measure 60 feet and 6 inches from the top of the billboard structure to the grade on Sunset Boulevard, and would include public realm enhancements, including a plaza, pollinator garden with seating, lighting, interactive educational displays, and California native plantings. Here are some example photos of the public realm enhancements. The image on the left shows the public plaza that would face Sunset Boulevard that offers educational, interactive educational components, terrazzo tiles for the flooring, a mini pollinator garden that you see in the center of the plaza, as well as the image on the right, which shows the transformer and electrical equipment that would be hidden from public view, and the full pollinator garden that would be towards the rear of the project area that would not have any direct access from the public realm. This project includes a development agreement that would have a minimum annual guarantee, or a MAG, of $550,000 with a 3% annual increase. It would also include a revenue share. That revenue share would be 30% of revenue over $4.25 million for years 1 through 5, and 30% of revenue over $4.67 million for years 6 through 30 with a 3% annual increase. It also includes a capital expense, or CapEx, credit of $500,000, which would be split equally over years 1 through 5. The estimated year 1 total public benefit payment to the city, and again that would be less the capital expense credit for that first year, would be $1.1 million. Estimate for the 30-year total public benefit payment, the total would be $60.1 million and includes $26.1 million in revenue from the MAG and $34.5 million in revenue share, less, of course, the $500,000 in CapEx credit. An initial study and negative declaration was prepared for the project as part of the Sunset Boulevard off-site signage policy in 2019 and analyzed potential impacts from new billboards on Sunset. The ISND, or negative declaration, found that no significant environmental impacts for Round 1 projects would occur. Subsequently, and to ensure that the original analysis was sufficient and that no new environmental impacts would occur as a result of the new billboards, the city prepared an addendum in 2025 which addressed Round 1.5 and Round 2 projects, of which the project is included as a Round 1.5 project. The addendum prepared in 2025 found that there would be no new significant environmental impacts, and therefore no new mitigation measures would be required. Staff's recommendation for this item is to adopt the ordinances and resolution approving the associated permit requests to construct a new off-site advertising billboard and public realm enhancements at 822 Sunset Boulevard. And with that, I'll conclude staff presentation. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Do any of my colleagues have questions? Councilmember Meister has questions. No, you could, if you want to, or if you want to wait. You want to wait? No, I have some too. You have some? Yeah, why don't we do the questions and not get into discussion until we hear the public comment?
Okay. So this is two-sided, right? 1,000 square feet on one side and 480 on the other. They're both full motion?
Correct. Yes, they're both full motion.
And doesn't the sunset plan say that one of them should be static?
So the policy limits, as part of its standard requirements, that no digital billboard can be over 1,000 square feet, which is why the project is being submitted as an alternative project, because it exceeds that limit of 1,000 digital square feet by providing 1,480.
Okay. But is there something in the SAAP that says if it's two-sided, that one side would be static, or did I not read that?
No, there's no stipulation that it has to be one specific. It just sets, again, a maximum for those. So I believe what maybe you're referring to is that in total it sets a maximum of 1,500, with 1,000 being digital, as I mentioned, and then 500 being static. But again, as an alternative project, it would exceed that, and that's why it's an alternative project.
Okay. Do you know how far away the proposed billboard is to the apartment buildings on Havenhurst?
I don't have those exact distances, but I can look that up for you shortly.
Oh, okay, good. And then do you know how many billboards are within a block or two radius east, west, and across the street?
Do you mean billboards under the SAP program or total billboards
Total
on our
billboards.
inventory? I do not have an exact number, but I would estimate about a dozen.
Okay.
And that includes obviously static and traditional and so on.
Okay. And then it looks like the proposed project may be blocking signs that are just a few buildings away, both to the west and to the east. Is that correct? I mean, that's what it looked like when I looked at the photos.
Sure. So an obstruction analysis was prepared and was also presented to the Planning Commission for potential obstruction of the static traditional billboards located at 8228 Sunset. We found that there would be partial obstruction. Obviously, as you're going down Sunset, your viewpoint sort of changes from both point of views, but specifically going westbound for those billboards at 8228. And the city is currently in the process of reviewing a separate application for those building owners at 8228 to assist with modifications to their existing static sign.
Okay, because I'm looking at something where it looks like even the billboards to the east are blocked as well. Right, because 8228 is to the west.
Correct, yes. We didn't find any obstruction issues with those on the east, but
okay, I mean, maybe I'm looking at the photo simulation in the applicant's presentation that's in our packet. All right, well, we can go on, and that I can ask them that as well. Are they planning 24-hour security at this site?
I mean, the site would be obviously privately owned, but there's no proposal or requirement to have 24/7 on-site security, no.
And there's no gates that close off the property after a certain hour?
To the rear, where the transformer areas are, those would be gate protected, but the actual public plaza component, no, there's no gate area. There is a 42-inch sort of retaining wall that
I can hop over.
buffers. But yeah, there's no gating of the plaza component.
Okay, and then one more question. Have we had any billboards or billboard proposals under the SAAP where there was no building renovation or no building development attached to that?
No, this would be the first standalone billboard project that, from the ground up creates, its own separate public space.
And do you know what the square footage of the space of their property, the lot?
Of the entire property or of the public plaza component?
No, of their lot.
Their lot, I don't have that exact number, but I'm sure the applicant can provide that in their presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Councilmember Erickson, you had a couple questions.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it here on my computer. So this is replacing a vacant lot that was what, used for parking?
Yes, correct.
And was that vacant lot that was used for parking contracted with by any of the businesses in the surrounding area?
I believe the parking area was shared and is currently shared by what is now the Gallery restaurant on Sunset. It used to be the Den. And there was a previous business, a newsstand, that is no longer in business that I'm sure used it as needed. But
so there's already another restaurant in the Den. I see Brett back there, so you can just shake your, yes?
Correct.
There is? Okay, great. Happy to hear that. Okay. There is a billboard on top of, I can't remember this address, right up here. What's the line of sight for that billboard in comparison to this one? Could you go back to the PowerPoint? Because I know that's a static billboard on top of the building, and then there's one to the south.
This
so,
one?
not, well, sure, you can go to that one as well. So this one, so is this billboard blocking the other billboard, or is it more front facing? Like, is it closer to the sidewalk and that one's more further back?
Yeah, I mean, that one is somewhat set back, but when it comes to blockage, it's kind of hard to say something is, fully blocking it because obviously it changes as your viewpoint changes. And that's an existing traditional billboard at 8228 Sunset. And there was an obstruction analysis prepared showing the westbound view and how it would partially obstruct, which again is why the business owners or property owners at that site have requested a modification that we're currently processing to assist with, potential obstruction.
And what, you can go back, and is the same thing true for the other one on the eastbound side? So that one?
We haven't heard from that property owner for anything. I do believe that it's within the city of Los Angeles.
That was my second question. So it's in the city of LA. So that's,
not that it doesn't matter, but we haven't.
We love all of our surrounding cities. We love them very dearly. So I'm not opposed to a monarch sanctuary, but why not other types of sanctuaries?
Sure. So the garden component is actually for all pollinators. Okay. The sort of interactive educational component is specific to monarch butterflies, and that was proposed given the city's prioritization of monarch migration. So that's the educational component of the project. But again, the garden is made for all pollinators, regardless of species.
Okay, great. And what type of native plants are going to be put there? Do we know yet, or is there just a broad selection? I didn't get a chance to see that.
Yeah, I'll leave that for the applicant to go through their planting schedule, but again, they would all be, or I believe 97% would be native plantings.
And so this inside piece right here, the full 360 between the static, no, you can go back to the beautiful, you can go back to the image.
Oh, the previous one? Sorry about that.
Sorry. So this inside piece, is that reflective?
The glass component? No, it's not reflective, but it does refract light and provide different colors, obviously, given the color of the glass. But there's no, it's not. What is the word I'm looking for? Yeah, it's not shiny. It's not glossy.
What does this? What does this look like at night?
I believe. It might not be in my presentation, but it's definitely in the applicant's presentation. They have many more renders, obviously, of the daytime and nighttime.
Wonderful. And I know you answered this, I believe. So I'm looking at these two images right here. Can you walk me through, I believe this is what Councilmember Meister said as well, so apologies. Or the inside space right there, so is that public space? So if I'm looking, I don't know how to even tell you this, but so the farther back area where the gray is, like it looks like it's raised and then there's a lower level, is that public space?
So that's the existing parking.
Okay.
So that would be, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look on the image on the left, on the right side of that image, there's sort of a drive aisle, right, to go egress down, which would be gated or proposed to be gated. So that wouldn't, be publicly accessible in the same way that the plaza would.
And so it will be parking spaces?
It would be parking.
How
correct.
many?
I'm not sure on the exact number of parking spaces.
So whoever
it
the
splits
applicant
between the
is.
city of Los Angeles and the city of West Hollywood. So a portion of that, the portion that's actually being developed is in the city of West Hollywood. And I believe the remainder of the parking is actually in the city of LA limits.
Why do they have parking there? It seems obsolete and stupid.
I'm sure the applicant can answer
I
that.
mean, I'm just saying, why, can you walk me through, I'm going to go see this billboard and some monarchs, and I'm going to drive my car into the back 2 spaces? Why wouldn't they utilize that for public space?
Again, I believe that it's shared parking between the existing business there and what used to be the newsstand. So I would assume, and they can clarify, that it's being retained to allow on-site parking for, the restaurant and other businesses.
Wait, the existing business on the site? I'm looking at a vacant lot. So what the newsstand had parking?
I mean, yes, it was, the parking was accessible for the newsstand.
Okay.
But my understanding is that that parking area, which is, again, outside of our jurisdiction, is shared across the businesses that are adjacent to it.
Okay. And then this picture on the right, so how is that being blocked from public access then? These lovely yellow barricades, but is there a gate?
Yeah, so the gate, it's kind of hard to see, but it's in the top left sort of area as you would drive down into the parking area. So there's currently a slope. So that portion would be gated. You can catch, I can use my cursor where I'm hovering over right here. That's a gate component.
So that's a walkway. That's the driveway?
This is the driveway, correct. And so this slopes down onto the site, and then the parking would be over here. So again, it's not fully enclosed, but it is hidden from view as the grade changes, and the billboard and plaza element is obviously blocking it.
Great. So then on the pole for the main billboard, there's that lovely thing, the green thing right there in the middle. So no, so yes, but go to the other image. So
right
that
there.
thing, is that digital?
No.
So what is that?
That's a component
That's
of
the education component?
It's a component of the interactive educational.
How is it interactive if it's not digital?
Some of not right here on the actual structure, but some of the elements throughout the plaza light up, have lighting themselves. There's also sort of etched in cast metal butterflies. So there's a variety of textures and elements that are built into it, but that component specifically is not digital.
How is that educational, not artistic? That seems like an artistic choice, rather. I'm just going to see an etched thing and some concrete, and it's a butterfly. Cool. But how is that educational to help promoting?
It would include information regarding other pollinators, as well as, like I said, specifically the monarch butterfly. So it's a combination of an artistic decision and also an educational component.
So this thing in the bottom left corner, and I'm almost done, Mayor, because I can feel your watchful eyes on my shoulder. So is this more of like a mural right here on the left-hand side, with all these little images? They look like flowers, but is that going to be some type of mural that's educational?
So yeah, so that's actually the life cycle of the monarch butterfly.
Great.
Yes.
I take it looks like blocks.
Yes.
So.
And again, the applicant's presentation has many more images to provide. So I'm sure they have, higher quality details that are available. But yeah, that's the life cycle of the monarch butterfly that would sort of be spread throughout the site.
Great. Okay. Those are my questions right now. Thanks, Mayor.
Great. Other questions? I had 2 questions. One, we received some correspondence about concern from residents on the adjacent street that this will be aimed towards them and that they're going to have a lot of light intrusion. As I look at the sign, it looks like the images and the lit up portions are actually facing Sunset. Does any of this face to the rear?
No, the Sunset Arts and Advertising Program and the policy require that all billboards face towards Sunset. So this would not be directly facing any nearby residential units, homes, apartments. There's also requirements regarding lighting, light trespass, and those are all standard regulatory measures as part of the program.
And currently, this is a parking lot. Is that parking lot accessible to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Currently, yes.
So I guess the follow-up question, and I heard concerns, and I've shared these concerns in the past, this tendency on our part with these signs to try to create a public plaza that I am questioning whether people are actually going to use it as a plaza as opposed to it turning out to be like the Sunset Spectacular, where it is a gathering place for sometimes homeless individuals and others who are not residents enjoying the view. So how is it that all of these signs come to us with this same kind of public plaza, assuming or alleged public benefit? It just doesn't seem like a benefit that anyone in the community is actually going to use.
Sure. So, I mean, public realm enhancements are a stipulation of the program. There are a couple ways to address that we've done in the past. That includes an in lieu fee, as well as actual physical improvements, like what you see for this project. But that is, again, like built into the program itself as far as what our requirements are, to move this forward.
Well, I'm sensing, not with respect to this project, but going forward, I think council, at least some of my colleagues and myself, are skeptical about these public realm enhancements that don't seem to really be useful for members of the public. So maybe that's something that we need to have a conversation about aside from any particular application. All right, I know we've been asking a lot of questions. I apologize for that, but I hope that gives the applicant some ideas of things that we would like to hear from them about. And I see that Dale Goldsmith and Ian Burchell are both represented as applicant here. Who's going to be giving the presentation? And is 10 minutes sufficient? And if you can do it in shorter, we love that too.
We'll endeavor to do so, Mayor.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dale Goldsmith. I'm a partner with the AGD law firm. We're representing the applicant, Interstate. Here with me today is our very talented design team headed by Ian Burchell, who will present the project in a moment. Plus, we have the Interstate team here, including Dave Neglio, Jeff Gerber, and Brian Kowalski. First of all, I'd like to commend staff on a very thorough presentation and some very good answers to some very good questions. In addition, I do want to point out that this parking in that lot, which is actually in the city of Los Angeles, that is for the gallery restaurant. It's not for the sign. It's necessary for the gallery. The gallery patrons park there. It's not public parking in the sense that I could just park there if I wanted to park. So it's really associated with the business. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Ian, who hopefully will provide more clarity on what exactly we're proposing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ian Burchell. Happy to be in front of you all. Council members, mayor, deputy mayor, vice mayor, whatever. I'd be happy to take you through this project. We've been working on it for quite a while, and looking forward to any questions that you may have about our design intent, and any of the details that you've already shown interest in so far. Do you have?
Ian, you can go ahead and just say next slide when you're ready. Thank you.
Next file. You've seen this before, and excuse me, you've seen some of the slides that we have already seen. They'll be in this show as well, but hopefully will not be too repetitive. This is basically how the structure, the chrysalis, playing on the use of glass, sits off the sidewalk, creating a small pedestrianized plaza that gives a chance to interact with the information we have regarding butterflies and the various gardens and plants that we have prepared for the project. Next slide. Top right-hand corner is a view looking up from the main pole, looking through the cylinder of glass that forms the chrysalis, excuse the pun on the butterfly. And then bottom left is the garden plaza. And you can see on the bottom right, we have buried into the terrazzo. The terrazzo, by the way, is not a polished terrazzo tile that got picked up somewhere. It's not a tile. It's a poured in place aggregate finish. It has a non-slip surface and will not provide the kind of slippery finish that you see indoors. This is specifically for outdoor use, and our predecessors, the Romans, did a very good job of using it. Next slide, please. This shows the site plan and the extent of the planting around the structure. And I could go through all of this, but we don't have so much time. There was a comment about the glass. I do want to say one thing about dichroic glass. This is actually not dichroic glass. This is actually 2 layers of plain glass. Well, it's actually not plain. It's basically heat-strengthened glass with a dichroic plastic film between them. It's that film that actually adheres and makes this glass very strong and shatter-proof. Nothing's going to be falling down on people, so should somebody throw a brick at it. So it's a dichroic film between 2 layers of glass, laminated glass. And that's the same for the railing around the curved wall in the right-hand imagery there that you see. Next slide, please. Some daytime shots from various angles. Again, as you know from whatever reading you've been doing on dichroic glass, the color of the glass is never stationary. It all depends on the angle of the light, amount of light, how it hits the glass, and how it gets refracted through the film. So this is looking out to the main street, showing the parking lot. Next slide, please. Some nighttime vision here. We are putting some linear LED into the plaza just to enhance that area, to provide a little bit of lighting at the grade level. The back wall will be illuminated to shine light on the various stages of a butterfly's creation, from chrysalis to flight. Next slide, please. I think these are just showing the nighttime views. Next slide, please. We're not going to show you these.
But there is a slide on the plantings.
Let's go to that one. There you go. Those are the plants we got. I am not going to try to read them from here. I'm not going to try to tell you I know what they are, but we spent a lot of time selecting plants that are conducive to what we're trying to achieve with the butterfly and chrysalis garden. I beg your pardon? And they bloom throughout the year. She'll prove it. Seriously, all facetiousness to one side. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Okay, and I see Dale moving up as well. So,
If I could just have some.
oh yes, you have time.
Once again, for the record, Dale Goldsmith. We've worked very closely with city staff over the last several months to create what I think is a really special design. The original project that was made it through the gateway was a horizontal product. It was somewhat more conventional in shape. Staff challenged the design team to come up with unique design that would pay homage to the former Marlboro sign and create an iconic gateway to West Hollywood. I think we've achieved that. In addition, there are substantial public realm enhancements. The project will positively affect the environment by providing solar panels that'll help power the sign and also the pollinator garden, including the monarch, but not limited to the monarch butterfly. And it will also provide substantial revenues to the city, both in terms of direct payment and also in terms of in-kind use of the sign. Therefore, we would respectfully request that you follow your staff recommendation and your unanimous planning commission and approve the project. I, Ian, and the rest of the team are available for any questions you may have. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Before we turn to any questions, let's hear from other members of the public who are here tonight. I see Len Lanzi to be followed by Stephanie Harker, and I believe we have one person on Zoom.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and council members. I'm Len Lanzi, President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce here in West Hollywood, and we're here in strong support of the Chrysalis project at 8222 Sunset Boulevard. This project represents exactly the kind of innovative design-forward investment that keeps the Sunset Strip globally iconic. The Chrysalis blends the cutting-edge architecture with cultural storytelling, pairing its sculptural, curved digital screens and diachronic glass, even if it's not really diachronic glass, with beautifully designed public plaza and a pollinator garden that celebrates the monarch butterfly. I have a monarch butterfly pollinated garden at my home, and it's fantastic to have. Beyond its artistic value, the economic impact is exceptional, and this is where it's really important. Over the 30-year development agreement, the project is projected to generate more than $60 million in direct city revenue, plus over $53 million in public arts programming value, funds and resources that directly support West Hollywood's creative life, small businesses, and community services. This project also advances sustainability, becoming the first SAAP project to incorporate solar panels, and strengthens the pedestrian environment at a key eastern gateway of the city. The Chamber urges your approval of the development agreement, the zoning map amendment, and the sign permit. The Chrysalis project will elevate the Strip's identity to enrich our public realm and contribute meaningfully to West Hollywood's cultural and economic future. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Harker. And then we'll take our speaker on Zoom.
Good evening, Stephanie Harker, City of West Hollywood. I'm absolutely thrilled with this project, which may come as a surprise to you. I mean, if you look at the revenue stream in monarch butterflies and pollinators, what could be bad? No, I truly feel sincerely that if more developers and projects would take into consideration that what the public likes and what the public can use and what's good for us, for the community, is just a little bit of green space and a few arches and a few tile roofs. We're not really that picky, but the fact that this developer has chosen to add that when it didn't have to, that's when it's really special. And the more little tiny pockets of green space we can have around collectively is good for all of us. So thank you, and I hope you'll support this.
Thank you. And let's take our speaker on Zoom and then the citizen position slips.
We have Rory Barish. Rory, go ahead.
Rory, hi, Rory.
Hi. Good evening. I don't feel it's all about the money. The last thing that we need on this part of the Sunset Strip is this billboard. I live on Havenhurst in a historic colonial house, and this will not only affect my building adversely, it will affect many, many others in this residential area as well as the foothills. There are 3 historic properties on my street. The light and glare that will bounce off from these billboards will be untenable and will absolutely affect people's psyche. I have not seen any saturation studies, but I'm certain they would not be favorable. Views are not even part of the conversation anymore, but it will block people's views. This location is a stone's throw away from the F-graded intersection at Crescent Heights. It will create a huge distraction to drivers at this location. You have a massive billboard across the street in front of the chateau, several others on both sides of the boulevard in this precise vicinity. As a matter of fact, this will be sandwiched in between two other massive billboards. It's oversaturated. It can't be all about the money without considering location or infrastructure. The pedestrian plaza will not be a cool place to hang. This precise area, and obviously many of you do not know it because I live there, is a home, it attracts many of the homeless. We call the police out weekly, and I can give you the names of the police, to Haydenhurst because it's all of the drugs, garbage, and feces on the street. And we have encampments at the top of my block, which is steps from 822 Sunset. What better place for the homeless to hang in this plaza than right next door to the dispensary? How safe will that be? And at the same time, when there's no security for all existing city cannabis seats. This is a terrible idea. Please do not pass it. I live here, I know the area, and this is not thought out well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rory. And now we'll turn to the citizen position slips.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one citizen position slip from Mike Carter in support of the item.
Thank you. Before I close the public hearing, I'm going to leave it open in case anyone has any questions.
Yeah.
Councilmember Meister, you have a question for the applicant?
Yeah, I have a question for the applicant. The light that is coming out of the billboard, is that UV emitting light?
Once again, for the record, Dale Goldsmith, no. Councilmember Meister, it is conventional light, not UV.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
It is conventional light, not ultraviolet light.
Okay.
Councilmember Erickson, did you have a question?
Yes. So how many parking spaces is it?
You know, I'm not sure. I think Brett could probably tell you, again, that's not part of the leasehold that Interstate has. It's associated with the den, so it's kind of out of bounds for my client.
Great, that doesn't answer my question.
But again, that's what Brett could come up.
Brett Lettieri?
Yep, hi there. Currently, there's approximately 28 spots as the lot exists right now. And to our best guess, there'll be a reduction of some parking with this sign.
How much?
Maybe 6 spots is the best guess.
It'll be down to 6.
No. A reduction of approximately
Okay, so like
6
20
vehicles is my guess.
I only asked that because it was brought up as parking pieces as part of the application. So why was it included in the presentation if there's no commentary about it?
It was, once again, Dale Goldsmith, it was to provide context. But again, it's not part of the assigned project of the leasehold, except the area that you see within the site plan that Ian had put up earlier.
So what part is in the city of LA and what part's in the city of West Hollywood? How about we have one person speak?
Yeah, we have that in our presentation.
Great. So can you show me which parts are the city of LA?
If I can pull that up, I have it up if you want me to present it. So Councilmember Erickson, the diagonal line that my cursor is hovering over, that's the split with West Hollywood and Los Angeles. Los Angeles on the right, West Hollywood on the left.
Okay. Okay, I won't ask about parking because I don't think I'm going to get my answer. Where are the solar panels?
If we could go again to the, Ian had a rendering showing it from the rear with the direct, there you go. You can see, yeah. You can see them quite clearly on this exhibit. They're on either side of the dichroic glass, laminated glass.
Great. How do you intend to keep the glass clean?
The development agreement requires a regular schedule of maintenance. The applicant, of course, is committed to doing so because people, if it looks terrible, no one's going to want to pay for advertising on it. But we anticipate regular maintenance either with a man lift or those basket cherry pickers, for want of a better term. And we're even considering potentially having a some sort of system to put water in to help wash the glass in between that. But again, that's still something we're looking into in terms of the detail. But rest assured, Council Member, that there will be a regular and vigorous maintenance schedule.
If you install a water feature, wouldn't that be something that should be a part of the conditions of approval?
We're still investigating the feasibility of it.
Okay, okay. How do we, staff, how do you define regular maintenance? Once every 6 months, once a month? What is that to you? Because it's a prominent feature of the design.
Correct. I don't think there's a set answer for that. I think it, to his point, it will affect, it's mutually beneficial for them to keep them orderly. And I think it depends seasonally what's happening, if it's raining a lot. I don't think there's a set amount of time for regular maintenance, but it would be keeping it in working order.
Okay, cool. So I don't mean to be harping on the same question, but I'm sure people will say that. Why monarchs? I mean, I love monarchs. Don't come at, I mean, I don't need that in the news tomorrow, but like, why? Like, why not birds? Why not something else? I mean, are monarchs really present on Sunset Boulevard in this really highly traffic congested area?
Is that question coming to me, the in-house non-monarch expert?
Well, do you have a monarch expert? I mean, I don't know if Michael Carter left. I'm sure he could help answer it for you, but.
I can tell you that we chose the monarch because of the relationship that's been established in documents that we got from the city with the city of West Hollywood. And as been said before, it's not, if you're not a monarch, go away. We don't have people or dogs or critters or birds making sure that only monarchs get to the butterfly garden. That's why I was using the term butterfly garden and butterflies, because it's not specifically monarch, but we chose that because of the city's relationship with the monarch butterfly.
So, Jennifer.
If I could add also, given that the monarch is a threatened species, we think it was more appropriate to give people information about it.
Yes, we love the monarchs. I authored that resolution. It's great. But so we give applicants like species recommendations now for billboards? I mean, I'm happy if we are. I think that's great. But like, are we going to do like, what are we doing next? I mean, like, I didn't know that was. Can you explain that process?
No, I can't explain whether there was a specific direction from staff to specifically do monarchs.
No, I mean,
I think we do encourage, supporting native species and.
Great.
As the designer, I did not get any specific direction.
Great. I mean, I just have to say, I won't get into my commentary now, but okay, great. You love monarchs. It's wonderful. Thank you for answering the question. Those are all my questions.
I think Vice Mayor Hang has questions.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess to any one of you, can you talk about what kind of analysis you had done around constructability of this project? It's stunning, beautiful looking at the renderings. But at the same time, it also looks really complicated in nature and looks very expensive to build, and especially with all the beautiful glass panels. And if you can explain how they'll be attached and where they'll be sourced from, and if you've done any modeling with a fabricator and engineer to make sure that you can actually build the structure as what's shown, in our report, in our packet here. And if you've done the analysis, if you can describe how you're going to be able to build this.
Let me deal with the last couple of parts of your question there. Yes, we have dealt with fabricators, engineering, and constructors. There's a company that we're working with specifically on the glass panels called Heavy. They're already under contract to us. And we have determined that the proposed assembly and support system for the glass panels is viable, valid, constructible. We have discussed details with them that are not shown in the presentation that you've had and the drawings that have been submitted today, because that's looking ahead. But we certainly got full support from Heavy. They're one of the few companies that does work in dichroic glass or dichroic film and glass panels. And we're very comfortable with that. Now, with reference to the rest of the assembly, there's a company that we've been working with for the 25 years we've been working on outdoor advertising signs, And they are intimately involved in resolving not just the constructability of the site, but also the deliverability of the product, because we've got to bring this to the job site in components and assemble it on the field. So we've looked at craning, and we've looked at various ways. There's nothing set in stone at this point in time. We just wanted to make sure that we weren't having to undo anything after this meeting, frankly. So we want to make sure that we have the support, and we can now move forward with confirming the things that we've already studied and analyzed. So we're quite confident that this thing can and we hope will be built.
And you know, the purpose of my question is based on just seeing the design. It's very impressive, it's very stunning. And I just want to make sure that if this project is approved, that we're going to get exactly what we voted on tonight, and it doesn't change down the line.
And we wanted to make sure we weren't going to be standing in front of you tonight and not able to say yes to that. That's one of the reasons why the last communication I had with Heavy came in 2 days ago, in which they confirmed the diameter of the arms that are carrying the glass panels, because that's a critical component of the design. We want that lightness, we want that thinness, and they had initially proposed something different. We pushed back and asked them to stick with what we had designed. They said, fine.
Thank you. And then I kind of want to go back to the maintenance aspect. Like I said, the design is very stunning. There's beautiful glass panels on there, and this billboard is going to be exposed to the natural elements. Dust, airplane signature residue, bird poop. This is a very colorful and beautiful design that I can just imagine a flock of birds pooping all over it. You know, so what will be the maintenance schedule? Are you going to clean it after every storm? Are you going to, you know, there will be bird poop on it.
Or monarch poop, but
or monarch poop.
Or, yes, hopefully no more than that. If you think about, I'm going to answer your question, but I want you to understand that there are so many buildings in this town that are all glass. And those windows get cleaned way less than what these are going to get cleaned, because we've got to clean the inside face as well as the outside face. So it's very important to the design, the effectiveness of the design, which all ties in with the revenue that the design is supposed to guarantee. And we want to make sure that the glass is performing. And when I say performing, it's not like it's not transparent. So you could literally look at a pane of glass and step 4 feet this way, and it's going to change color. You're not going to notice that much of the blemishes created by dirt that's deposited or streaks on water. It's the color that's going to catch your eye and the fact that it's changing. Certainly as you're driving past, that iridescent effect is almost going to be kaleidoscopic. And that's why we want to maintain it. We want to make sure that that effect goes into supporting the revenue, the importance of the sign, and, as using your word, thank you, the beauty of the sign.
So that doesn't really answer my question, because I'm trying to get to what the general maintenance schedule of it. Are you going to, it does storm here in Southern California. We do have rain. Rain leaves hard water stains. Birds poop. The glass panels will have poop on them. And it's going to be, you know, like you said, maybe the poop will change color. I don't know.
Well, I think some of the let me start again. Creating a maintenance schedule at this point in time without the benefit of actual experience of what's happening in the field wouldn't really make a heck of a lot of sense. A commitment to keeping the glass clean is something you can hold us to. And that to me is more.
I just talked to the client. If I could just interrupt. Yeah, it'll. I did talk to the Interstate folks. It will be at least monthly, or if there's a frequency of events, either bird poop or storms, it will be done more frequently, but no later than monthly. And it could be more often, again, depending on the conditions.
And am I correct in saying that this is Interstate's first project in West Hollywood?
First in West Hollywood, but they've had, well, they own a current sign. This is the first new project, but they've developed hundreds of signs, if not thousands, throughout the country.
But it's the first one in the city of West Hollywood.
There's an existing sign that they own, but certainly nothing quite like this.
Got it. Thank you, Mayor. That concludes my questions.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Councilmember Byers. You had some questions.
Thank you.
And then Councilmember Meister.
Yeah, my questions are less so for the applicant, so thank you, and more for staff. I'm in hearing the mayor's concerns around the pedestrian activation, which I am largely supportive of. I believe we need more and more street furniture, and I'm really excited about the way that this offers something unique to the pedestrian experience up on Sunset, and particularly on the east side. But my concern is, even looking at the image right in front of us, the closest crosswalk is to the west side of Roxbury. And so the most busy area right there in front of the chateau, I know it's the city of Los Angeles, but even looking to the north side of the street where the dual billboards are right underneath this Welcome to West Hollywood sign, I don't know what we've been able to do to look at that area. I know when it came to the Comedy Store billboard conversation and bringing that crosswalk, there's already some thinking aligning. But in this area, I'd really encourage it, especially if we're activating a bigger pedestrian space. The turn from Sunset coming down towards the west side, people can move fast. And so if we can create something, and I just would be curious if there's any discussion happening at this point.
Not to my knowledge specific to this, but we can flag that with our Public Works team.
Yeah, I think that would be terrific. And I think, again, because it's City of LA, it may get a little complicated, but if there's some flexibility on our side, I think it could really benefit that area of Sunset. And at the very least, the crosswalk on Roxbury, that is, again, on the west side of the intersection, not the east side. It's just, looking at this site, it's so far away from that area where we're increasing pedestrian activity, so I think it'd be really beneficial. That's my, and then in addition, if I don't think there's a trash can in that area either, so that would be something on our side. I just wanted to flag early on. Thank you.
Councilmember Meister, you had an additional question?
Yeah, I have a question for the architect. So Mayor Heilman had asked staff about how this sign was positioned, and staff said it's positioned towards Sunset. But is the sign curved?
Do you mean the advertising face?
The face of the sign, is it curved where there's digital on the whole, the whole?
The two advertising faces are radiused. Yes, they're curved.
They're curved. So it is possible that some of that edge will go towards an area that's not necessarily Sunset, the actual boulevard. Is that right?
That's plausible, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And then I have a question about security, so I don't know that you would be answering that question.
I'll give it a go.
But sure, give it a go. Okay. Is there going to be 24-hour security at this site?
At this time, there's no proposal. The proposal does not include 24-hour physical security. What we are proposing is video security, and which is also going to help us with our maintenance program as well. It could be able to have cameras throughout the vertical structure and then cameras around the site itself. So until there's a need, hopefully there won't be, there's not a proposal to include a physical person presence on the project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we've asked a lot of questions. I think it's time for us to, you have another question. Thank you.
Sorry, Mayor. This came up, and I want to thank, actually, you, Mayor, for bringing it up. Or, no, who was the last public commenter? It's actually for you also. When I did my last ride-along with the sheriffs, we were over in this space, and the moment you cross down, what's that first street? Is it Havenhurst? That's the first street? That's by the vacant lot in LA. There are a number of encampments there, but because they're in the city of LA, we really don't approach them and deal with it unless they come into West Hollywood. That's what I saw, experienced, and I believe correctly talked to by the public commenter. So what is the process then if someone gets into the area that's in the city of LA? Whose responsibility is it?
Well, if
Essentially,
it's in the city of LA, it's not the city of West Hollywood's
Well-
responsibility. I will tell you that I have called several times about the encampment in response to community calls. Our staff does go out. They do alert the city of LA outreach teams to try to address individuals who are homeless on the streets. So that is the process, but we don't have authority outside our jurisdiction.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I've seen and experienced that from the public, so I just want to make sure the applicants are aware of the rigmarole that could occur as a result.
All right, now I think we're done with all of the questions and we can begin our deliberations. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And who would like to start tonight?
Well, I was just wondering if staff had the answer to my question about how far
Thank you.
the residents are, say,
Sure.
on
The
Havenhurst.
closest residential building, which would be in the city of Los Angeles, is approximately 115 feet from where the sign would be located.
Where is the Colonial House, which is West Hollywood?
We don't have the exact distance at this moment, but it would be blocked by several other existing buildings. It looks like it's a little over 200 feet.
Okay, thank you.
A portion of the Colonial House is taller though, so it might not all be blocked.
Sure, but again, the sign faces are predominantly oriented towards Sunset, so.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Erickson would
I'll
like
keep
to
my
start.
comments short because I talked way too much during questioning. I want to thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you to the members of the public that spoke. Thank you to staff and the applicant. You know, I like the project. I think it's taking a vacant parking lot and turning it into something very different, more beautiful, and I like how it's activating the space. I plan on supporting this project. Is it exactly what I thought I would want there? No, but we always don't get what we want. I do share concerns from my colleagues regarding security, maintenance, and cleaning, but I do love the activation for park benches as well as more activation on whose ever phone is going, please silence it, thank you. As well as however we can keep that going. I would like to see if my colleagues would accept a condition about cleaning, so we have that kind of on the record about what that would maintain and proper maintenance. I would like to define that rather than just having the public call us, which will happen, and they'll say, oh, it's not clean, it's dirty. There's all sorts of excrement from whatever animal and or insect. And so I would just like to maybe define that longer term for this space, so that way we can hold people accountable, but that's up to my colleagues if they'd accept that amendment. Other than that, I really thank the applicant for bringing forth a space that, you know, is going to be radically different, but I really hope that it continues to beautify that area of Sunset Strip, which I know is really important, and with the standard reopening, I think that will be, I'm sorry, not the standard, well,
yeah.
You get what I mean. Thank you, Mayor. But thank you very much, and I intend to vote for this project.
Anybody else want to jump in? Councilmember Meister.
Yeah, thank you. It is, you know, it is an unusual design, and it's a beautiful design, but I have concerns about the impacts on the neighbors. I also, even more so, feel that this is setting a dangerous precedent to have this stand alone. This is the first one of its kind where there could have been a business, and instead it is really just a billboard surrounded by, you know, the garden. I don't know how well that garden's going to be used. There is going to be transients, which is my other concern, the reason I brought up security. I guess I would ask, in the SAAP, is there anything that precludes a standalone project, or in the SAAP, do we typically have it connected to development or reinvigoration of an existing building?
Sure. So there's obviously requirements that allows a project to qualify, but there's nothing that precludes a standalone billboard. I will say, as many of you know, this strip is predominantly very developed, so there's limited opportunities for that. And to my knowledge, after reviewing the vast majority of the projects we still have in the pipeline, there are no other standalone projects being proposed.
Okay. I mean, I'm just concerned that someone could buy a small slice of property and say, hey, I'm going to stick a billboard in there.
And
then not
currently
have
currently we're no longer accepting new applications, so what's in the pipeline is what's moving forward.
Okay, well, okay. Again, I still have concerns about impacts to the neighbors. The signs are curved, they're not just flat. I mean, obviously, that's what makes them attractive too, but there are residents that live on Havenhurst as well as across the street on Sunset that are going to be impacted. I feel also it's very large, and so when you think about, you know, the people in proportion, it just feels out of proportion to the park. And so as beautiful as it is, I just don't know that that's the right place for that project.
Thank you. Councilmember Byers.
Thank you. Thank you to the members of the public and to the project applicants. I am excited about what you brought forward. I think it's a beautiful design, really unique and innovative as the program aspires to be and what it delivers back to the community. We know that the revenue is instrumental in our long-term development as a city, but the site improvements, I think, are what I'm really most struck by. The east side of Sunset is largely waiting to be defined. I'm excited about the gallery reopening there, but just in terms of placemaking itself, I think you've really done something that creates a spot that we can speak to and program in different unique ways. I know it's small on its site, but already that sidewalk, because of that newsstand and the way that it's been sort of taken over by community, is used in such creative ways. And so I think you are creating something that can do more of that into the future, and that's really exciting to me. I do want to make sure that what we are bringing forward in this project is create a part of this bigger ecosystem of pedestrian activation across Sunset. So to me, coming back to figuring out that crosswalk on the eastern side of the project is really essential. It may mean more partnership with the city of LA, but I think that could also be possible. And I always say this, so I walk on Sunset often, there are not enough trash cans. And part of making sure that we keep that site clean and maintained is making sure the public can be contributors to that, making sure that there's trash cans located on that site. Otherwise, I think that this is really thoughtful and well-intentioned, and I think in general, the way that we can make sure that the projects, a part of the Sunset Arts and Advertising program that are coming back to us, deliver on the values of the city in these creative and thoughtful ways too. You're taking a parking lot effectively and creating more open green space that activates the biodiversity of our community too. So all those things are not lost to me, and I'm really excited to support the project tonight. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm largely in support of this project. I also live on Havenhurst, and I think it's good activation of the space. The project is stunning. There's nothing like that of its kind in existence in West Hollywood now, and we are the innovative city. But I guess what I'm really worried about is the general maintenance schedule for cleaning because of the poop. I'm worried about the poop. So,
We know the headline tomorrow will be in the Beverly Press, so there you go.
Gentlemen, can we allow the Vice Mayor to continue his comments?
So I'm worried about the general maintenance cleaning schedule, if that can somehow be built in and set in stone, because it's not just the poop, it's also the rain. Rain leaves hard water stains, dust, airplane signature residue, et cetera, you name it. Because I don't want this beautiful sign to look beautiful for the first 30 days and then it's covered in poop. And if you're only going to clean it once a quarter, we're going to look at poop performance, right? So, and then my other concern, I guess, for staff is the minimum annual guarantee. To me, that seems kind of low for the city. So I don't know if there's a way we can revisit that in the contract, in the DA, or perhaps even lowering the threshold for the 30% to kick in.
So there's a couple of things, if the council wanted to go down that road, we would probably want to continue the item to renegotiate portions of the agreement.
Thank you. And if my colleagues are willing, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate all of the input that we received tonight. Thank you to all of the public speakers and to our speaker on Zoom, and thank you to the applicant and their team for all of their patience as we peppered them with questions. I'm supportive of this project. It was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. I think some of the concerns that I've heard, I too am concerned about the neighbors, but I don't see the way that this sign is curved as impacting anyone in the neighborhood. It is not curved towards the residential streets. It's curved so that people driving on Sunset, where the street changes direction and curves a bit, so that people can see it from different vantage points. So I don't think this is going to impact the neighbors in terms of them seeing any portion of the sign. I do also share the concern about proper maintenance, but I don't think we actually at the council can determine the actual appropriate schedule. Is there some language in the recommendations that we might be able to enhance without getting into the specific day-to-day details about maintenance? Because I think that's beyond our knowledge.
Sure. Yes, Mayor Hamlin. There are two conditions, 310 and 311, that are included as part of the creative billboard approval. 310 requires that public realm enhancements, which would be the plaza component, garden, et cetera, are to be maintained in their original and approved condition with a regularly implemented maintenance plan for the length of the development agreement to the satisfaction of the Director of Community Development. 311 requires that prior to the issuance of building permits, the applicant shall submit a maintenance plan showing how each of the different materials of the project, including the billboard and the plaza components, will be maintained. And this also is submitted for review by the Director of Community Development and kept on file with our department as well.
And that can be enforced by our code enforcement department.
Correct.
So they are going to be required to submit a specific maintenance plan for both the plaza and the lighting. Does council want to, see that at a later date? It's not, the way it's written, it's subject to the community development director's approval. We could just see it as an information item at a later date.
I'm fine with that. I agree. I don't know if we want to get into the nitty-gritty details of cleaning, but I do think this is like the second or third time we've talked about maintenance and upkeep. So however we can establish that as like a standard bearer for, I think, everything, that might be helpful for us. So I'm happy with the receive and file. I think you're completely right, Mayor. I don't want to say every third Tuesday you have to power wash it. So I'm in agreement.
And I think part of the problem is that each sign is different in terms of its components. So having a standardized every third Tuesday you have to do this doesn't make sense when each sign is different. So are we comfortable with that in terms of the maintenance issue, that staff will get that? It will be subject to the community development director's review and approval, and then it will be shared with the council as a receive and file at a later date. I know that there's been some discussion of the crosswalk, and Councilmember Byers gave some direction that be looked at. I'm a little bit hesitant because that's not on the agenda, but I'm fine with that direction to staff to look at it. I'm concerned because, again, Sunset curves a little bit there, and you don't want to put a crosswalk in an area that endangers members of the public, and I know you don't either. So, but I'm fine with staff looking at that. Is there a trash can component of the public plaza? Is that something that is built into the plaza, or could that be part of the maintenance plan that has to be submitted?
That could potentially be part of the maintenance plan. As proposed right now, there's no waste receptacle component. But of course, as staff, we can explore, public right-of-way additions for that, but that would be outside of the scope of the project.
Okay, I mean, I think it is, as Councilmember Byers indicated, and I think Councilmember Meister as well, it is a problem up and down Sunset with a lack of public receptacles. The last point I have has to do with the plaza area. And again, I don't want to fault them because they were relying on what our direction has been in the past. And I agree with Councilmember Byers. We want to have activated places for the public. My concern is that this isn't really programmed for activation. It's programmed for people to come there if they're interested. I'd be much more comfortable if this were outdoor dining space that is going to be regularly maintained and that there's seating for people at the restaurant, because then you know that the restaurant is going to ensure that it's activated and that people are going to be there. And but again, that's not before us tonight, and that kind of moves away from a public realm to a semi-private realm. Having said all of that, I am supportive of the project. It's beautiful. They have put a lot of time and effort. I'm fine with the monarch butterfly component of it, and I think they're using that based on city-adopted agenda items in the past, recognizing the threat to the public, to the monarch population.
Mayor's pledge.
Yes. Yes, I think you were mayor then. All right. They were trying to appeal to you, but I don't think they got your vote tonight. All right, I think we've had enough discussion here. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve all of the items with the direction that's been given?
So moved.
Okay, I see a motion and a second. And City Clerk, do you want to walk through the things that need to be read into the record?
Yes, I'm going to
Thank you.
read the titles of the ordinances that are being introduced on first reading this evening. We are introducing an ordinance of the City of West Hollywood approving a development agreement in conjunction with a new off-site advertising billboard and public realm enhancements at 8222 Sunset Boulevard, West Hollywood, California. We are also introducing an ordinance of the City Council approving a zoning map amendment in conjunction with the new off-site advertising billboard and public realm enhancements at 8222 Sunset Boulevard, West Hollywood, California. And with that, we will vote. And the motion passes 4-1, noting the no vote of Councilmember Meister.
Thank you, everyone. We'll now move to item D1. And we might want to take a break after this item, if that's okay. We'll see how we're doing. So item D1 is the city attorney. Are you going to give the staff report on this?
Yes, I can give a brief staff report. This is a report back on 2 companion items that the City Council directed. First, I'll note, as written in the staff report, that West Hollywood prides itself in its long-standing tradition and commitment of diversity and inclusion, including diversity of relationships, gender, and sexual orientation. In today's diverse society, a significant portion of households diverge from the traditional nuclear family model, and this item is reporting back on 2 directions related to this topic. The first was direction to come back with an anti-discrimination ordinance that would discriminate on people based on their family structure. And that ordinance is before the City Council for introduction tonight, should the council wish to adopt it. It prohibits discrimination on the basis of someone's family or relationship structure with respect to access to housing, access to business establishments, access to city facilities and services, and access to city-supported facilities and services. It comes with enforcement provisions, and it models some of the city's strict anti-discrimination ordinances that have already been in place for many years and continues that effort with protecting a new class of persons. The second item reporting back tonight to the City Council was the direction to look into the city's domestic partnership ordinance and come back with recommendations for how it could potentially be expanded to also include people in diverse family relationships, including throuples and other polyamorous relationships, and to see if the existing domestic partnership ordinance that the city has could be expanded, or if there's other ways to address this direction. Staff's recommendation at this time would probably be to create a separate registration program that mirrors the protections that are provided in the domestic partnership ordinance, but by creating a completely separate registration process. That would be a cleaner, simpler way that would be more in line with what state law provides to have the city do this. I think the city would be maybe the first in California and one of the first in the country to look at this model. So the action and direction that staff is requesting tonight is to confirm that the council agrees with the creation of a separate registration process, and then also ask if staff wants to, or if the council wants staff to explore looking at the city's internal policies for protecting people in non-traditional families as part of that registration process. So the information's in the staff report. There's 2 items that the council's being asked to act on tonight. And I'm here with City Clerk Melissa Crowder, and I've got Ray Lind here from HR if we have questions about benefits, and we can answer any questions you may have.
Great. We do have a number of speakers from the public. Why don't we take those and then we can get into council discussion. Our first speaker is Brian Wenke, to be followed by Christina Fiallo.
Good evening, Mayor Howman, Vice Mayor Heng, and council members. I am here tonight to urge you to take 3 clear actions on agenda item D1 tonight at this meeting. First, vote yes on item D1 to prohibit discrimination based on family or relationship structure. Second, vote yes to create the proposed staff working group to develop policies for registering and providing benefits to multi-partner and polyamorous partnerships. And third, before voting yes on the proposed staff working group, amend the item to require the working group to return with a concrete plan and proposed policies within 90 days and no longer than 6 months. As the executive director of a global LGBTQ+ youth organization, I think every day about how law and culture play into the future of the next generation. Do they support a world where folks can show up as they are? Family structures are evolving, and our policies should evolve alongside them. If we believe in protecting families in all their forms, then we need structure, accountability, and a clear timeline to ensure follow-through. West Hollywood has long led by example. Tonight is an opportunity to continue that leadership thoughtfully and responsibly. Families are changing. The question is whether our policies can keep up. Thank you so much for your time and leadership.
Thank you. Christina Fiallo, to be followed by Aaron H., and then Megan Katz.
Good evening. My name is Christina Fiallo, and I'm the president of Rewrite the Byline. I'm also here as a community member who believes deeply in the power and responsibility of this council to create the world we want to live in. The current legal system was never designed for all of us. It has evolved over time because courageous local leaders like yourselves chose to expand its protections. As an attorney, I've spent my career managing risk. I understand caution. But I also know that there are moments when the potential for justice far outweighs the fear of stepping into the unknown. And this is one of those moments. The opposition has pushed boundaries. They're unafraid to test the limits of the law. This administration, influenced by Project 2025, is pursuing policies to roll back LGBTQ+ rights and protections. This, therefore, is not the time for timidity. This is the time to be bold, to recognize that loyalty to justice and to the idea that the world can be built differently requires action. And it is up to us here tonight to take that action in West Hollywood. I'm grateful for this council's history of leadership. West Hollywood has often chosen to stand on the side of inclusion before it was easy, before it was popular. That legacy matters. I urge you to vote yes on item D, and with respect, I ask that you amend the item to require the working group to return within 90 days and no more than 6 months with a concrete plan and proposed policies. A timeline will reassure residents that this process will lead to meaningful action. I've heard from people who fear that these discussions will be pushed into a bureaucratic box. Many have never seen their relationships recognized, and for them, visibility and legal recognition are not abstract concepts. They are matters of safety and well-being. I hope to see West Hollywood continue to model what it looks like to be a city that is welcoming. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron H., to be followed by Megan Katz, and that's our last speaker.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Hammersley. I am a proud bi+ advocate for my community and the larger LGBTQ+ community, and I'm here to speak in support of voting yes on D1. I'm a proud bi person, as I said. One of the many things I have learned in my life is that no two families look the same. That has been true before, and it is true now. It is one of the many things that are beautiful about love. While I am personally monogamous in my relationships, I do not believe I am better or worse than someone who is not. Polyamorous people and multi-partner families deserve dignity, clarity, and protection under the law just as I am afforded. I hope that West Hollywood will once again become the city that leads by affirming that families come in many forms and that all of them deserve fairness under the law. Thank you for your time, your courage, and your leadership.
Thank you. Megan Katz.
Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Katz. I've been a resident of West Hollywood for 23 years. I'm a librarian and studying for Masters of Marriage and Family Therapy and proudly polyamorous. I do want to urge you to vote yes on item D1 to prohibit discrimination on the basis of family or relationship structure, to vote yes to create the proposed staff working group to develop policies for registering and providing benefits to multi-partner and polyamorous partnerships. But before voting yes on the proposed staff working group to amend the item to require the working group to return within 90 days and no later than 6 months with a concrete plan and proposed policies in order to demonstrate accountability and ensure that this important commitment leads to meaningful, timely action. Obviously, I have my children here today because I wanted them to see firsthand how we as citizens affect change on the local level that can improve our own lives significantly. And I can't tell you how important this legislation is to me. Protections for non-monogamous and non-traditional families are mostly non-existent, growing barely, right here before our eyes. And there's really no reason for them to not exist. They should be there, and I'm excited to see this happening, to be part of it. We are contributing members of our societies, and advancements like this affirm that we deserve the same rights as anyone else. So thank you so much for taking the time to hear me out, and thank you for making progress on this issue.
Thank you. That's our last speaker tonight. We'll turn to council questions and discussion. The speakers seem to be largely in support. In terms of the timeline that they requested, let's ask our city attorney and our city clerk. Is that a realistic timeline for you with your work plans?
At this time, thank you, Mayor Melissa Crowder, City Clerk. 90 days I don't think is possible for myself and the Human Resources Manager and Lauren to come up with a thoughtful plan that we can implement. 6 months, yes, that I think is doable for us.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's get into council discussion. Is there any discussion?
I had questions.
Oh, yeah, a question,
Yeah,
thank you.
I had a question about, Lauren, the report, you talk about the state. Can you explain that a little bit more?
The way the state defines both marriage and domestic partnership is between two people. and we're talking about something that about relationships that could involve more than two people, which is why we thought having, rather than changing our local law in a way that may not be consistent with the state law, we could create our own program that's just completely separate from what the state is doing, and have a program here in West Hollywood that could provide benefits that mirror what you provide for domestic partners, but do it in our own way.
And what kind of impact would that have, for example, on, on City Hall benefits and how it impacts our taxpayers?
Well, that's part of what the working group would be looking at. That's the more complicated part. And so that's something that I think would need, if the council's interested in exploring that, would require a little bit more study and analysis and review of the benefits policies and things of that nature to be able to report back on that piece.
Okay. We'll wait until the Vice Mayor is back. I think there's no real objection to the non-discrimination ordinance. So can we go ahead and address that, and then we'll do the task force? Yeah. And Chelsea, you brought this. I see you've moved we introduced this on first reading. There's a second by Councilmember Meister. Any further discussion? Then we'll go ahead and take a vote. Do you want to read the title of the ordinance?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So we will be introducing on first reading an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Hollywood adopting Chapter 9.46 of Article 3 of Title 9 of the West Hollywood Municipal Code, prohibiting discrimination on the basis of family or relationship structure. There is a motion and a second on the floor to introduce on first reading. And the motion passes 5-0.
Great. And the second recommendation is to create a task force, and I hope that a 6-month timeline seems to be consistent with what both the city clerk and the city attorney indicate is possible. And there's a motion to adopt the task force.
And before this goes through, Mayor, I just want to pause and thank again the members of the public who brought this forward and who came out and bore testimony tonight, shared your stories. It was shared by our city attorney. This may be the first in the state of California, so we hope to do this well and get it right, and that time invested by our staff to do that work and to bring these policies forward is essential to that. So thank you for your patience and your commitment to this. I also want to thank our city attorney, Lauren Langer, for leading on this work, and again, the members of the public who helped bring this forward to our city. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would love to be clear about what the task force is going to be bringing back.
Sure.
So I think the biggest piece that we want to look at as part of this is how does it affect benefits for city employees and what that looks like. If you recall, our domestic partner policy was one of the first, long before the state had its own policy. And so similar to that, we want to be sure that we are doing this right and that the policy that we bring forward for council adoption is something that we can do, and to outline all of the different ways that this ordinance could affect people's rental status, because that's what it's used for as well, their ability to have their throuple on insurance, whether that's city insurance or that is another insurance in another state. So that is the time that we're going to be taking, because working with CalPERS can take time. And this is, as Lord mentioned and Councilmember Byers, it's one of the first coming, especially from California. So we want to look into that.
Yes.
Thank you. Melissa, I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. So for city employees that are involved in a throuple, that's the change that we're looking at?
It is one of the things that we need to look at, yes.
Would we require state legislation as well?
That's one of the things we have to look at. So, we have a contract with PERS, and so we'd have, similar to what we do with contract cities for our sheriff services, that we have a contract with PERS, and any changes to that or amendments, we have to see if it's even something we can do.
No, thank you. I just wasn't triple checking.
So I wanted to clarify, the original item was to create a registration program. Any kind of enhancement to employee benefits would have to go through our meet and confer process. It's not clear that our city employees would necessarily request benefits for members of a throuple. We certainly would probably want to offer them and treat them the same as any other relationship, but that would have to be part of the meet and confer process, and it would have to be requested by the union. I do think it is important that we study those issues and have a clear understanding of what we as a city could offer under our existing contract with PERS and our existing insurance policies, whether we would be able to offer benefits. But the availability of a registration program, that is something that I think can be done apart from the employee benefits. So maybe part of what will have to be done as this task force is that we look at those two items separately. As I recall, when we did domestic partnership registration, we created the registration program, but it took several years to work out some of the issues with employee benefits and to convince insurance companies that they weren't going to lose a lot of money by insuring domestic partners, which was a big fear at that time. So, but that can be part of the task force work.
Yeah, and so
Yes.
it may be a separate registration program from what we currently have with our current domestic partnership.
Correct.
And thank you very much, Mayor. The reason why I think that I'm really proud of this item, and I'm really glad the council's moving forward on this. I think it's important. And you were there, obviously, when well, sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that, but I was there.
I'm old, it's
no,
okay.
No, you are not old. You're amazing, and that's what I have to say. And you're the only true blonde on this council, so there you go. But we have to make sure that, I think this is a really monumental moment for the city. So is it, I mean, do my colleagues want to have like an ad hoc committee of all of us to talk to staff on that? I don't want to add another committee that we need to be, but I think it is important. I'm even willing to serve on it. I know Councilmember Meister always loves, no, I'm sorry, it was a joke. But I mean, is that something we want to pursue to make sure staff is getting advice in real time? Is it needed? I just want to make sure they have these resources because it is a big lift.
I don't know if council wants to do that. I don't think that was part of the recommendation. So why don't we give staff a little time to work on that? And if they feel that having a council subcommittee, maybe you could bring that back to us at our next meeting? Okay. Does that sound fair?
I just want to make sure.
All right. So let's go ahead and move the recommendation tonight and then see where that goes. And we'll ask for a brief update from staff in a month. All right, it's unanimously approved. Thank you again to all of the speakers who came out and for your advocacy. We have about 4 more items. Why don't we take a quick break here and then we'll come back in about 7 minutes. Let's try to keep it short and that way we can get out early. Get started again. Thank you for your patience. We'll now turn to item E1, which is an update on major development projects. I don't think we need a staff report. I believe that Councilmember Meister had a few questions, correct? Yeah.
I do. Thank you, Mayor. So I'm trying to get my agenda packet open, but it won't open. I don't know why. There's something with this iPad. Oh, there it
There
goes.
it is.
Okay. So my questions are, I know we can't get into discussions about the projects, so I have very straightforward questions. You talk about the Melrose Triangle project. Are the developers looking for a DA for that project?
Nick Marisich, Director of Community Development. They submitted a preliminary application for a housing project, and that was reviewed by staff, and now we're awaiting a complete full application to be submitted for a mixed-use housing project on the site. They have not indicated that they would be requesting a development agreement for that future project.
What I'm asking, I guess, is does it qualify under the affordable housing AHA, or would they have to get a DA? That's what
sorry.
I'm asking, because it's pretty large.
Yeah. As I understand it, they would be looking for approvals under the state density bonus law and not requesting a city negotiated development agreement.
Okay. Okay. And then 8816 Beverly, originally, I don't believe that was a builder's remedy project. Is that now a different project?
8816 Beverly is still a builder's remedy, one of the projects that was submitted as a builder's remedy application. So it's still under review.
But didn't it change?
It did change through the course of it's been with us now for a few years, I think over 2 years in the review process, but I can't really go into the specifics since the project might become before the council at a future date. It did change through the application process.
All right, so let me ask hypothetically then,
has not been
can a project that goes under a builder's remedy before the city obviously had its approvals by, the housing department, blah, 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 and our element approved, our housing element change after we've already gotten our housing element approved?
Yes, there is an allowance under the law for up to 20% that the project can change. And so that's what's being reviewed.
A project, a hypothetical project, right. Can you tell us what's happening with the Arts Club more than what you have there? Which is, nope.
I'll look at my team to see if anyone has any more information about the Arts Club project. I don't believe we've heard anything recently from them.
In terms of actually building, doing something?
In terms of, pursuing building permits, I don't think we've seen any them reach out about that at this time.
Okay, and what about 8555 Santa Monica Boulevard? Do we know why there's no movement on that, and they're getting ready to allow their
We do not.
Entitlements? They're going to expire soon, right?
I don't believe let me look at our spreadsheet here. This is project, for those following along, it's number 5 in attachment A, 8527, 8555 Santa Monica.
Yeah. It says entitlements will expire on May 15th, 2026, unless extended pursuant to the zoning.
So there are extensions that are available.
Okay.
I don't believe we have one that's been requested at this time, but we do tend to see those come as projects approach that the entitlement expiration period, but they're eligible to seek extensions of time.
Okay, and then 9034 Sunset, is that also another DA project, or is that a house?
9034 is not a development agreement project. That's number 10 in attachment A, and it's a development permit. I believe they are seeking incentives under state density bonus law, but there's no development agreement component to that project.
And state density law allows for a 25-story residential from a...
It's under review, so we haven't made any conclusions
All right.
about.
I won't ask anymore. All right. It just, yeah, okay. And then 1,000 La Brea, also asking for 34 stories in a lot zone for 9 stories. So again, are they seeking a development agreement, or is this another housing project hypothetically?
1,000 La Brea, which is, let me find it on our sheet here, number 13, does include a development agreement. So we've reflected the status there that is under negotiation right now.
Okay, and this is the developer that did the Millennium, is that right? That was the Millennium?
Predated my time, but I'll look to my colleagues.
They were involved with it when it was, I believe, under construction. They also own the lot and have developed the office buildings on that site as well.
Okay, and is this the developer that sold the project on Sunset to AKA?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Any other questions? This is really just a receive and file. If there are no further questions, we can just move the agenda.
We did have someone signed up to speak.
Oh, we did. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
Anita Goswami.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome. Well, she
Don't
probably
leave
would-
yet. We
she'd
have one
let me know in a
speaker.
minute.
Yes, it's me again. A couple of things. Anita Goswami, resident of West Hollywood. I'd written in some comment as well too, but I just wanted to say, the update report shows how long these projects have been going on. And in the business world, some of these projects would be considered failing projects. They would be considered to be closed and resources directed elsewhere. I speak to city resources because there's a lot of time and effort the planning staff is using with this, so it's just something to keep in mind. I think that review of projects should include consideration of the applicant's track record with the city, because some of the applicants are continuing to submit new projects while not completing those that were submitted previously. I recognize the financial world, it's very complicated. I know that really well. I've been in the business world for a long time. But again, I go back to what is a failing project. We're the ones that have to deal with the fallout. For the city, again, what we're observing from the residents' perspective, systematic displacement of residents and destruction of successful businesses over and over. My husband misses the gym that used to be at the factory. And especially small businesses. This goes back to that destruction of successful businesses that are there, and I think we just really need to be a lot more aware of this, especially as the projects go on. Because what we do, we look around, we see vacant lots, boarded up storefronts, wondering what happened to our thriving West Hollywood. I'm also concerned that the projects that were submitted under one set of rules and regulations are now taking advantage of AB 130 to fast-track their major projects. For example, I'm alarmed that a 6-story building at 833 Westbourne is being streamlined without a clear date for neighborhood meeting or design review. Why is the community being put on a 90-day clock before we even see the plans?
Thank you. Your time has expired. Thank you, Anita. We will move on to our next agenda item, which is F3, and Councilmember Erickson and Byers, you brought this forward. We have a number of public speakers. You want to turn to them, or?
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I mistakenly crossed out. Yeah, why don't we go to the public first? I'm fine with that.
Okay, we'll go right to the public speakers. We have 3 of them, four. Carolyn Heldman, to be followed by Stephanie Harker, Danielle De La Reyes, and then Leanne Lagoida. Carolyn, thank you for being here tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Dr. Caroline Heldman from Stand With Survivors. We are a national network of survivor activists and allies. I'm also here representing the California Survivors Coalition, which is a group of 21 organizations throughout the state that support survivors. And I want to begin by commending Council members Erickson and Byers for their moral courage in introducing this legislation, and urge the Council to be the first governing body in the nation to take a stand. Casey Wasserman didn't just appear in documents, right? He actively socialized with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, two of the most notorious traffickers in modern history. And this isn't simply guilt by association, right? This is a profound failure of judgment that we believe disqualifies him from representing our city to the world, the broader LA city. The 2028 Olympics belong to Los Angeles. They belong to everyone. They belong to survivors everywhere. And we deserve a leader whose moral compass is actually beyond question. So tonight, we hope that you show the world exactly what principled leadership looks like, and we thank you for standing with survivors.
Thank you. Stephanie Harker, to be followed by Danielle De La Reyes.
Good evening, Stephanie Harker, City of West Hollywood. There can't have been a more horrendous time in our history when we are facing these types of things. But I also feel that I have concerns that Mr. Wasserman, that we would be bypassing his process, or his access to due process. I think back of what happened to Al Franken, and who was asked to, or finally was coerced into having to step down from the Senate, the US Senate, when we found out later that that was possibly untrue, and he also never had due process. So I hope we'll go at this with those thoughts in mind, and those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Danielle De Los Reyes, sorry about that, to be followed by Leanne Lagoida.
No worries. My name is El De Los Reyes. I'm here on behalf of survivors.org. We're a survivor-operated nonprofit organization that provides free support services to survivors of sexual violence all over the country. I also come to you as a survivor myself, born and raised in LA County, who was victimized at the same age as many of the young girls that were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, who have already endured way too much, and we ask you that you consider what can be done to lighten that load. In light of information released from the DOJ, we wholeheartedly believe that the removal of Casey Wasserman as chair of LA 28 is the best decision for athletes, the city of Los Angeles, and survivors. Competing in the Olympics is supposed to be an honor unlike any other. Thus, the person leading the Olympics should also be an honorable one. A man who once had an intimate association with a now convicted, notorious sex trafficker is not one deserving of a position of power like this. Wasserman's mere presence in LA 28 serves as a painful reminder of the abuse and all of the ways that those involved have escaped accountability. Survivors deserve to experience a world event that is not plagued by conversations around Epstein and his associates. Wasserman is aware that his association with Maxwell is a distraction, citing this as one of his own reasons for stepping away from his self-named agency. The global tradition of the Olympics should be represented better. Is this really the best that LA has to offer? In a time in which so many people in power are either perpetrators or protectors of harm, there is a powerful message sent when you stand with survivors. We all want to be proud that we get to host the Olympics here in our beloved city, and the way to ensure that is by removing Casey Wasserman as chair. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your personal story as well. Leanne Lagoida.
Thank you for letting me have an opportunity to speak on this subject. As a resident of Burbank and as someone who works in the outdoor industry, where I value connecting people outdoors in safe spaces and create a sense of belonging, I expect the leadership of the Los Angeles Olympic Chair to reflect those values as well. Casey Wasserman's association with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell does not reflect the leadership that I and many others want representing Los Angeles on the world stage in preparation for and during the Los Angeles 28 Olympics. Wasserman already understands the gravity of his association with Maxwell in relation to his private business. It is clear he should not fulfill this public role. Those participating and attending in the Olympics should feel a sense of pride and safety while visiting our city, not concerns of abuse of power and human trafficking that Wasserman leadership brings into focus. Historically, too many athletes have already suffered from sexual abuse. Through the removal of Wasserman, it is an opportunity for the committee to send the message to athletes, visitors, and supporters that the committee will be trauma-informed and create a safe environment for all involved. This might be a stretch, but this could be also a message from the leadership of Los Angeles Olympic Committee to the United States and the rest of the world that the United States does not approve of the abuses that have unfortunately already occurred and will do something to prevent more abuse in the quickly approaching future. So I demand the resignation of Wasserman.
Thank you. We have some citizen position slips. Melissa?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We have one citizen position slip from Mike Carter in support of the item.
All right, that's it. Let's turn to council discussion.
Well, I believe Councilmember Meister had questions regarding this item, so.
It's not really questions, it's comments. And so everything that I've read is that Wasserman was having a relationship with Maxwell, but not, this was before all of the events that happened. I understand why even that would trigger, trigger people. I mean, believe me, I'm on X all the time, just putting out texts about the same thing, and that we need to be dealing with this, and this country needs to not be avoiding what needs to be done. But I do have a concern that, as Stephanie Harker mentioned, that we are also a city that values due process, a city that values the law. We are a city that does listen to people's, being able to defend themselves or not, okay? I mean, if someone on, hypothetically on this council got accused of something, we would want to hear that person's side, and we wouldn't necessarily say, oh, you're going to be, you need to resign. Now, I also agree that his being in that position is a distraction. And for me, that's probably even more of a reason to ask for resignation, because the distraction is we don't need that distraction. So I guess what I would say is that if the resolution or if the letter were to say, look, we do believe in due process. We do believe in due process. However, we feel that Wasserman's, past relationships are a distraction and could cause negative impacts on the Olympics, on people who are coming to the Olympics, and also just people in general, the way we are feeling about what's going on in this country with this whole thing. So I just feel I don't want to limit this to accusations, because people do deserve due process. I think it's really more than anything, the reason that he resigned from his company should be the same reason he resigns from being on that committee as the executive director.
Yeah. And if you get a chance, I don't know if you've read the resolution. It does, I think there may be things that we could add to address those concerns that you've raised, but I don't see anything in the resolution that, conclusively says he's engaged in some kind of inappropriate conduct with minors or something like that.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's in the nature of the resolution that we don't suggest that there's criminal activity here, but to your point, we suggest that we know enough to make a decision that he is unfit for this leadership role. That despite selling his agency after multiple protests and, Chapel Roan leaving his agency, he made the decision to sell, but he hasn't made the decision to leave a public board. And so I think the resolution before us is really calling into question that we have enough information at this point to continue to push for that resignation. I can appreciate the line you're suggesting, and I think being faced with the calls from survivors, being faced with the reality that we are trying to be as safe and inclusive and welcoming of a city ourselves, we have a responsibility to sit in that nuanced position and suggest that we don't need to know anything else. We know enough to know he is unfit for this leadership role, and on that very basis, we shouldn't need to add any other language to this resolution to see it forward.
Councilmember Erickson.
No, I concur with what Councilmember Byer said. Additionally, he's selling his stake in the company, but he also will be making millions and millions of dollars off of that, something that he would not have had to have done or been pushed to do if it weren't for the amazing people that have been standing up every single day and demanding accountability. And it is very important to clear, as we have been through this entire time, he has not committed a crime, but I do not want any association with the Olympics and a person who has emails between Ghislaine Maxwell and anyone with ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And I think most importantly is that when you bring up the question of if all of us are accused of things, well, we did have a former colleague on this council who was accused of many things, and he was censured, and it's up to the voters to remove one of them, if not have that individual resign. There are processes in place. Sadly, with LA 28, those processes seem to be kept in shadows, as well as not held for the public accountability. And I think, especially now with more and more people coming out, really proud to see the work that has been done and led by the city, by everyone who came in and spoke and supported. Thank you so very much for showing up. But it's important for us as a city, and I think as a country, to say that we don't want Trump now coming to the defense of Casey Wasserman, and that's really what's next here, because people in that ilk stick together, and I know you love X in that way too. I see it all. So I agree with what Councilmember Byer said, and I hope my colleagues, we can push this forward if there are no other comments, of course.
Vice Mayor Hang.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I just want to express that I am with all the victims. I see you, I hear you, and there are a lot of Epstein victims out there. So I just want to get that out there first. And Mr. Wasserman hasn't been accused of doing anything illegal or wrong, at least not yet. We don't know what's not going to be out there. But anything Epstein related to me is tainted. And his mere relationship and his presence in the emails is going to taint the Olympics. And for me, I have to stand with the survivors who survived horrendously being abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And if we're going to do a resolution to ask Mr. Wasserman to step down, I think we have to also examine the person who's mentioned most in the Epstein files and do a resolution to ask him to step down too. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
All right, so I certainly support calling on Mr. Wasserman to step down. As one of the speakers indicated, his presence there is a distraction at this point. I don't think he can effectively lead the organization given his association with Maxwell. I think also it will make the Olympics all about that relationship and not about the incredible athletes and their families and friends who will be here. So I support the resolution. I would support adding some language to it if that would make others more comfortable. I think the only language we could add is that these allegations are not yet proven or something like that, but nevertheless, his relationship with Maxwell is well documented, and it would create a distraction.
I'm comfortable with the resolution as is, personally. Okay. We did work with the community to make sure this was as overt as well as carefully crafted in that language. We do not want to be insinuating any of those things, which is why we tried to keep it as tight as possible. So I believe it does. So that would be my motion, just to move it as is. But I think the intent is all here because I hear us all saying the same thing. In that way.
I mean, I would just like something added to the effect of that the city not only values respect and support for people, but also due process. However, we see that something like this would be a distraction that would hurt or could potentially hurt the a successful.
I'm happy to give him his. So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Councilmember.
No,
I'm happy to give him due process if maybe the LA 28 committee opens up their secretive closed doors meetings and allows us to actually examine the facts. And I think that's just never going to happen, and so we have to demand accountability. And so my motion is to propose as is, and so if it's voted down and we want to wordsmith it, we can, but that's my motion on the table. I don't know if Councilmember Byers has any changes, but.
Is there a second? I see that it has been seconded. Does anyone want to propose amended language?
Well, I did. I thought I did.
All right, we would need to be very specific then.
Well, we don't have the letter written yet, do we?
There's a resolution.
Okay.
So if there are words that you want to propose as an amendment to add to that.
Does it not feel covered under the emphasizing the importance of treating all individuals with respect for their personal dignity, respect and support for people? I mean, we're not even talking about, criminal court proceedings. We're not talking about anything. And I think due process starts to get into a legal arena that we're not even really talking about. We're talking about.
He hasn't committed a crime, and we're just saying, I mean, if it's proven that he commits a crime, he will get due process. But right now, this is about a moral failure versus a legal failure. So I think that's why we made the distinction. Okay. Great.
All right, let's go ahead and see. There is a motion on the table. It's been seconded. All those in favor? All right, it's approved unanimously. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for bringing this forward to us. We'll go ahead and move on to our next agenda item, F4. And this is your item, Councilmember Byers. I don't know if you want to give a brief explanation. I think Councilmember Meister had a couple of questions.
Also speakers.
Yeah, let's go straight to this. We can go to the speakers.
Go to the speakers first. Thank you. We have Shannon Houston to be followed by Kathy Blavis and Stephanie Harker.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you so much. My name is Shannon Houston. I am the Director of Family and Child Care Provider Services for Pathways LA. We first want to thank Councilmember Chelsea Byers for initiating this feasibility study and all members for prioritizing early child care education needs in West Hollywood. Your leadership is so important to the working families of this community. I also want to acknowledge the public comments submitted regarding the use of additional space in Plummer Park. The emails reflected support for expanding childcare access while raising thoughtful concerns about park space, multi-use facilities, and making sure any future plans impacts are carefully considered. We hear that, and that is why we are committed to working in partnership with the city to assess and evaluate what is possible. Those possibilities include adding on to our currently allotted space, exploring space expansion in Great Hall and Long Hall, depending on what renovations would be possible in a historic location, and also considering locations outside of Plummer Park. Park space matters, community access matters, and access to affordable childcare matters. Our goal is to serve more West Hollywood families in a way that respects shared spaces, meets safety standards, and aligns with the city's long-term plans. We look forward to continuing this partnership with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Blavis to be followed by Stephanie Harker.
Good evening, Kathy Blavis, City of West Hollywood. Following up on what Shannon just said, I am in total agreement. We need a better facility for our preschoolers. What I'm not happy with and what I don't agree with is also something she mentioned, which would be to take our historic Great Hall, Long Hall and turn that into a one one-purpose facility. Great Hall Long Hall was originally called the Community Clubhouse, and I just feel that it is a building that should retain not only its historic distinction in terms of its structure, but what it was meant to be, which is a facility for the public and not just a single group. Expansion of the existing preschool, obviously that's an option. It concerns me again because it also takes away from the original concept of demolishing Great Hall Long Hall, which was to create more open space. So on the one hand, we want open space. On the other hand, we would be taking away open space by expanding the preschool. There was mentioned during a lot of the outreach and community meetings the idea of putting a second story on the community center. In my opinion, and it's certainly an opinion, to expand the preschool at Plummer Park and appease the community would be to do something at the community center and create a space there for the preschool. And that way the community still has their open space, and it seems like a valid solution in addition to looking to other areas of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Harker, and that's our last speaker.
Good evening, Stephanie Harker, City of West Hollywood. My concerns about F4 revolve around the amount of space required by preschools per child as per Title 22, 35 square feet of indoor space, hallways, offices, and kitchens are not included. So in that 35 square feet, and 75 square feet of outdoor space per child. And the outdoor space is usually required to have a 4-foot fence around it because the students must be separated, the preschool students must be separated from the general population. To expand in Plummer Park to accommodate a rise in the number of children attending the school, up from 32 to a possible 80 children, a 250% increase, will require a significant amount of additional space than this preschool occupies now, and it could impact the amount of space already used by the many programmed activities for the general public at the current time by our great recreational services. I'm always pro anything that increases the education opportunities for children, and I hope that West Hollywood can find several other appropriate areas in the city to house a larger number of preschool students. Maybe a second story could be added to the community center, which I believe was considered when it was first constructed. However, that would not add the required outdoor space per child. Another consideration is that the drop-off space is to be, quote, adjacent to the school entrance, which presents other issues. I look forward to the results of the study, as well as hearing the final report from SWA team and Rick Abramson with what the input from the community has been in regard to the preschool during the ongoing development of Plummer Park Comprehensive Plan. The preschool, although it is a nonprofit corporation, cannot be correlated to other nonprofits that have been the park, such as JFS and the Audubon Society, which are available to the general public and do not have a specific building used for specific and limited purpose. We need to distinguish between the general public, use for all, and the single-use dedicated private tenancy.
Thank you. Councilmember Meister, I believe you had some questions.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, first of all, if the study was limited to Plummer Park, so it could be other space as well.
Yeah, it's starting at Plummer Park where there are existing facilities located and then looking beyond should we have to.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's really clear that it could be outside of Plummer Park if there are appropriate facilities to be looked at or spaces, because for Plummer Park, we already are engaged in a comprehensive improvement plan where the community has been providing their input as to what they want their park to look like and the uses that they feel are needed. So I don't want to sort of upend all that energy and time we have put into that by having a competing study for possibly competing uses. So I just want to make sure that if we do this study, that it's not just focusing on Plummer Park, but it's looking at the city in total and taking into consideration that we have been putting several years into a comprehensive improvement plan at Plummer Park at this time.
Thank you. Councilmember Erickson.
Thank you very much. I want to thank my colleague for bringing this forward. I actually support it being at Plummer Park. I think the thing that I see the most at Plummer Park right now is kids and families and the expansion of space. Happy to make sure that in every redesign we're looking at what that is, but space is tight, and I think that the most beautiful piece ever since joining this council that I've really taken part in is the vibrant family community over there. It might not be present or visible to some, but it is present and visible to many here, and that is a very dense area of our city. And walking around the neighborhood like I do every night, seeing families, knowing them by name and talking to them, and I know our park staff knows them all very well. The number one thing they need is space, and I think preschool facility expansion, any type of expansion this way is work that we should do and could do. So I'm happy, I guess in theory to look at other spaces. I don't know what we're going to get back, so I actually support the direct proposal and the initiative itself for these things. And I think, a public commenter brought up Great Hall, Long Hall. It's frequently dead. There's nothing going on there. I don't see any activation. I'm there either watching my friends play pickleball, hi Jeff, or I'm walking by a vacant space. And we want to make sure it's used historically. It's a really important space in our history. I was the author of the item with Councilmember Shine at that time, or was it you and I, Councilmember Meister? I can't remember who did it, but one of us did it when we were up here to make sure it's a part of our history. But vibrancy and community is important for also installing the next generation. And to see a space like that, which once held the first ACT UP meetings and other spaces, being home to children of diverse families and community members, is I think a really beautiful thing that our city should look for. And it also would activate the space and get us moving a little bit faster on that. So I'm in support of this. I want to make sure that the park continues to be as vibrant as possible. And this is one of the top 3 things I hear from families on a weekly basis in the city. And you may ask, how do I know that? And it's because they come and they talk to us. So I don't know who other people are talking to, but I would encourage us all to at 5, 6, or 7 o'clock be out in that park and seeing all the families playing. And so I really thank my colleague for this. I support it. I support it being in Plummer Park in that expansion. And if the motion is to only include that, I will support it. But I will also support any amended language if that's the case. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Hang.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank my colleagues for bringing this item forward. I too frequent Plummer Park, and I too see lots of families with kids. The city was founded in 1984, and there weren't that many kids in the early days of the city. And as families grow today, more people are having kids, more same-sex couples are having kids, more thruples are having kids. We were just talking about that today. So I think this, it would benefit the city to use the space at Plummer Park to create a preschool, because as you know, more people are having kids in West Hollywood. Thank you.
Thank you all. Just to speak to the item's intent, I know, over 2 decades ago maybe, Plummer Park went through a comprehensive redesign that never moved forward. And at that point in time, a preschool was a part of the plans, and that preschool never came to fruition. So it was important to me in seeing the bungalow where that preschool currently headquarters and serves a beautiful community of children and their families. It is in desperate need of repair. It is tragic that a city of this sort of renown and resource and all the facilities we've built has overlooked the preschool on our own public park for so long. So to me, this was about creating a pathway to ensure that we would not continue to overlook our preschool and their needs. We've heard that they have an opportunity to come to expand service, which has been noted is needed desperately in this city. There have been so many families already that have had to turn to more private, more expensive options because that's the only way they can serve and take care of their kids' needs. There are more families choosing to live in West Hollywood, and those who can't have to leave our city because of its lack of resources, and that's a loss to us. So I really appreciate the support for this item. I think starting with Plummer Park is the obvious choice. It's been home to the preschool and the families. There are facilities that may be within use, especially if we have some upgrades considered as part of those. And I appreciate hearing that this could be considered a part of the conversation that's already going on around the renovations. It was important to me to name that we shouldn't stop at Plummer Park. Should something go haywire with that renovation, should something not move forward at Plummer Park, to me, it is essential that a preschool facility expansion be looked at in the city and taken seriously. And I did not want it to be hung up by the potential for a major park renovation to be hung up again as it had been years ago. So that's where I was coming forward with this to, sorry, create a little confusion, but that's why. So that's all I have to say unless there's any other questions or comments from my colleagues.
No, I also support this item. I thank you for bringing it forward. I think it would be useful. I saw the waiting list that they have. It would be useful to identify how many of those are West Hollywood families, how many are in the adjacent area. But I think it's very important that we look at improving the facility and making it larger so that we can accommodate as many people who are eligible for the programs. Does somebody want to make a motion? There's a motion and a second.
And Councilmember, I actually am getting texted by people that live around the park right now, and they wanted me to add, and I think this is important, that is their backyard, and that is where they would take their families to do and have these activities. And so they're even watching right now, but they're not here because they're dealing with childcare.
Well, hopefully their kids are asleep by now, but there was a motion and a second, and let's see if we get all of the votes here. It's been approved. Thank you for bringing this forward, and thank you for the questions. Thank you to the speakers. We have one last item, and that is item F6. And I believe that Councilmember Meister had some questions on this one. We do have a couple of speakers. Do you want to ask your questions first?
I'm a little confused because Councilmember Erickson and I are on the subcommittee together, and this came up at the subcommittee meeting, and I thought we made it clear that we're going through this, again, comprehensive improvement plan for Plummer Park, and before we started, changing things, we wanted to get the input of the community. We also were very clear that we wanted to make sure that we knew, for example, West Hollywood residents versus non-residents, and among our West Hollywood residents, what that ratio it was of tennis versus pickleball. So I just think we sort of have to have numbers, because we know that the people that came to speak, most of them who came to speak at our subcommittee meeting were actually not residents of West Hollywood who came to speak about having the pickleball. And it just seems like because the city of LA is not acknowledging pickleball at Poinsettia Park, that we are being looked at to solve their problem.
I think that's probably true for tennis as well. Our facilities are well maintained and well operated, so I think a lot of people who are using the facilities are not West Hollywood resident. Should we go to the public speakers,
Sure,
and
absolutely.
then we'll
Yeah.
get into any discussion? I have Bengi M. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, to be followed by Jeff Bartha.
It's okay, it's Benji.
Benji, okay, thank you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Benji, and I'm a resident of West Hollywood and a longtime tennis player. I'm here to speak in opposition to this item. I wanted to contextualize this local decision within some very concerning nationwide trends. USTA findings indicate that at least 10% of tennis courts have been repurposed for pickleball, and a New York Times study shows the transformation of over 8,000 outdoor tennis courts into pickleball courts. Private clubs, as you can imagine, are doing the same in order to increase financial returns. The staff report mentions the growth of pickleball, but I wanted to also emphasize that tennis is growing as well. The USTA just announced that tennis participation in the United States increased by 1.6 million in 2025. I don't think this data has been properly taken into consideration, which is concerning and unusual given the city's awareness of the national conversation on other issues. I also wanted to emphasize that unlike pickleball, which can be played on the existing tennis courts, once a pickleball court is permanently repainted, tennis can no longer be played. Maybe there's some unique engineering way for that to happen. I don't really think that it's possible. Please instead consider alternatives like allowing pickleball play on additional courts without permanent repainting, or consider not taking any action on this item until after the Plummer Park Comprehensive Plan. I understand that there are competing uses at play with limited space, but locally and nationally, tennis players looking for courts are increasingly getting the short end of the stick. So I'm asking for your reconsideration on this item, especially as it relates to any permanent changes that would indefinitely prevent tennis play from occurring on them. What this item calls for feels too hasty and permanent. Please send this item back to city staff to further consider alternatives within the context of both the national data on the conversion of tennis courts and the data on increased play in our beautiful and meaningful sport. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Bartha.
Hello, Council. Jeff Bartha, West Hollywood resident of 21 years. What the issue is here is the fact that obviously tennis and pickleball are growing exponentially, but when it comes to Plummer Park, if you're a tennis player, you have access to book all the courts. If you are a pickleball player, you only have access to book courts 6 and 7. If a tennis player, if tennis has those courts booked, pickleball has no courts. So the reason why we're asking, and hopefully you support this item, is to make it fair and have the ability that pickleball will have a designated space to use in the city. Obviously, same thing right up here on the roof. There are no dedicated pickleball courts, so technically they could all be booked by tennis. No pickleball is available. So we just ask you please to pass this item so we can have dedicated pickleball courts. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there citizen position slips?
Yes, we have one citizen position slip from Mike Carter in support of the item. Thank you.
Are all the courts striped for both, or?
No, I don't believe so. Stephanie, can you? I'm sorry. I don't want to answer anything that she hasn't.
No, because I'm just wondering if we were to add 2 courts that were just striped, additional striping, in other words, that are striped for both, would that be a decent temporary fix until we have more information?
Put them in the reservation system.
Sorry.
Hello. Stephanie Martinez, Recreation Manager, and I have Mike Gasco with me, Recreation Supervisor who oversees the contract with Tenacity. So for the courts, 1 through 7, 1 through 2, correct me if I'm wrong, 1 through 2 are only for tennis. 3, 4, and 5 are striped for tennis, but that is where Tenacity programming occurs with camps or anything else that they offer. 6 and 7 are striped for pickleball and tennis. So depending upon the programming and hours, if you do take away 6 and 7, tennis will initially only have courts 1 and 2 because Tenacity would be programming on 3, 4, and 5. When they're not programming on 3, 4, and 5, then they would be open to tennis. But that would just be depending upon the day and programming.
What's their typical, oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And what's their programming like? Do you know what are their hours?
It really varies. They have programming every day, both at Plummer Park and West Hollywood Park for tennis. They have their live ball sessions that happen daily. They also have private and group lessons that happen daily. So it does vary, but I know that it is daily.
Great.
Are any of the 3, 4, or 5 double striped for tennis and for pickleball?
No, only 6 and 7 are double
Only, okay.
for tennis and pickleball, correct.
And do we know?
And what? sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and in addition here at West Hollywood Park, so we have 3 tennis courts here at West Hollywood Park, but all 3 of those tennis courts are striped for pickleball as well. So there's 6 pickleball courts here at West Hollywood Park.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all striped for tennis, and they have programming for tennis.
Plummer or West?
Plummer.
Plumber's just 3, 4, and 5 for tennis.
But 1 and 2 are purely tennis.
Correct.
So that's why I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all
Not 6.
not
7.
6.
Not 6.
Not
One
six.
and
1
through
and 2
5.
are only tennis.
Yes.
3, 4, and 5 are only tennis, but that's where Tenacity
Tennis
conducts their
programming.
programming. And 6 and 7 are tennis and pickleball.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. That's sorry. You said
Yes.
it.
And WeHo Park, tell me again what those courts are.
Sure. So there's 3 total tennis courts at West Hollywood Park on the rooftop, and those 3 tennis courts have also been striped for pickleball. So on each tennis court, you can get 2 pickleball courts, and that's what we have right now. So there's a total of 6 pickleball courts here at West Hollywood Park.
Or 3 tennis
Or
courts.
3 tennis courts, correct.
Okay.
I just
But
hear-
they're striped for both.
I just hear a lot of programming for tennis. Then
Well, so a lot of programming that happens on the pickleball side happens primarily here at West Hollywood Park because of the demand for pickleball at Plummer Park. So Tenacity has done a lot of their pickleball programming here at West Hollywood Park to kind of curb the demand that they have for players at Plummer Park.
Do we have a sense of the proportion of pickleball players among the 1,200 residents?
Yes.
Yeah, let me pull up.
Are you, just to clarify, are you asking the total amount of like accounts they have in Tenacity? How many are residents and non-residents?
How many, well, what I'm asking for is among the residents that are playing tennis and pickleball, what percentage are tennis, what percentage are pickleball?
Oh, those numbers, I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have them broken down by accounts, correct?
Yeah, we have them broken down of, I can give you the total amount of tennis reservations that were made and pickleball reservations that were made at each park location, but they're not broken down on residency status, just reservations.
I'm interested in that number.
Yeah,
Sure.
can you tell us?
So, and this is kind of based off of the numbers that we got in the analysis. So, over from March 2025 to August 2025 at Plummer Park, there were a total of 14,380 tennis reservations. For pickleball, there were 16,013 reservations made. So those are court reservations. So as someone goes and makes a court reservation, those are the numbers during that time span.
Right, that's in the report, but that could be residents, and that's obviously
That could be.
residents and non-residents.
Correct.
I just wonder if maybe Councilmember Erickson, you would want to maybe have this on our agenda on Thursday.
So the reason why I did this is because we've been talking about this for quite some time. And sorry, I'm wearing your fancy glasses like you were, and they're talking to me right now because they're saying they're dead. Sorry about that. It's really distracting. But I think what I've come to understand is that having a dedicated space for pickleball, it's time to act and move forward in that way. And so I brought this item forward, and in looking at the public comment as well as the written comment, it seems overwhelming in that way. I understand that, the pickleball tennis wars of 2026 might be reactivated, but, that's a risk we all face. But I will express a little frustration with staff because we have been talking about this for a long time. And for the action to have to take a council item, and the issue is we're going to study it, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this again, is frustrating for myself and the community. And I understand we want to get it right, but I think the numbers speak for themselves, and I think the activations speak for themselves. And so that's why I brought this forward.
So I have a question and a comment. So my question is, does Tenacity also teach or have lessons or whatever they do with pickleball or just tennis?
With pickleball as well.
With pickleball as well. Yes, and as far as bringing this back to potentially make the pickleball courts exclusively for pickleball, because the item and the location is tied to a contract, which would directly impact Tenacity, that would require council direction. And with the contract being approved last January, after an extension of 6 months to do outreach and research with the community regarding pickleball and tennis use, that's why when it was approved last January, we had to go from there. And if this is the direction from council, we needed obviously direction from here. But one thing that we also found out during obviously in conversations with Tenacity, and this has been brought up as well, with the approximate 34,000, I think it's 600 registered users, non-residents are only about 1,200 participants in that. So if you're looking at for those numbers as far as who's really playing on the courts, non-residents or residents, we can get you those, but we can tell by the numbers themselves and just the amount of accounts that are created, they are non-residents.
That are pickleball players?
Both, probably both.
Okay,
Overall,
well,
because
no, I
of the
figured that, but I
numbers.
just was wondering what that proportion was.
Yes, and we can get that for you, but that's where we do hear feedback from individuals that use the courts that are typically non-residents, and I get that and understand, and we've tried to reach out to LA to try and use Poinsettia Park and all of those things. But as far as the use, it is highly used, but if you're looking to hear from those residents, I know that they have voiced their concern as well, especially at the ad hoc meetings as well, and have voiced their concerns there as well.
So what would be the problem with striping courts 1 and 2 for both?
I think it's the dedicated use for each. Luckily and unluckily, we're not the only city going through this as far as dedicated courts for each, and that's why even with the 6 and 7 being designated, we did that to try and obviously give some space to pickleball in doing that. But I do think that because of the amount of courts that you have of pickleball courts on a tennis court, you take those reservations away because you're basically creating 2 courts on the one, where you would be able to do, however many courts at a tennis. So that's the other thing. When you do look at the numbers, yes, there is more people and more reservations. Well, that's because there's double the amount of courts and people as opposed to tennis. So you do have to keep those open, throughout the time. But that's why in entering our contract with Tenacity, we took a look at that and what their dedicated time and, as far as programming. And for Tenacity to make any of those decisions, just so you all know, regarding programming, hours of operation, events that they want to have, those are all approved by the city. So it isn't a Tenacity decision. It is obviously overseen by us in the Recreation Services Division, which the staff have ongoing meetings with them to discuss those things. And that, because they see the impact as well regarding the pickleball and tennis use with each other.
Councilmember Byers has a question.
Yeah, my question's along the lines of Tenacity's programming, because if they have 3 courts that they program, it seems like a path forward if we're creating dedicated space for 2 different sports, 2 different courts, which I understand. And then it's really the 3 that are programmed. So to me, it's a question about programming and how do we make sure that we can change the hours of that programming, create space where it may not exist. Maybe some of those programs aren't highly desirable. Maybe that's sort of the question that that community needs to face is, do they want that program support or do they want open court play? But to me, it's an equity question, and we for so long have sort of denied a sport's existence by not allowing them to have dedicated space to build community and to have that sort of regular sense of connection and community by competing for space. So I think it's long past time that we create that dedicated space. I'm not certain then that we have it all figured out. And I want to make sure that because I'm hearing and I understand the challenge, especially with the tennis community, of finding that space. It requires a lot of space. Right. And that is a real challenge to contend with. And if part of that means looking at our programming and making sure that people can't book those private rentals or lessons, but it is just giving back that dedicated space for open public bookings, that maybe is the best way to go forward here. Yeah. So I really appreciate the council member bringing this item forward because it has been something, and I think we've done a lot recently to start recognizing the different communities and athletic programs and all the different ways people organize themselves into community. And to me, this has to be the way forward, that we sort out the dedication of the courts and then figure out how we make sure there's more open access for the tennis community who may feel like they're losing something tonight.
Yes, and that's been expressed from both parties.
Great.
And just because what's very unique about this is that obviously we don't oversee the programming aspect of it. Because it's tied to a contract, that's where we would have to go back and renegotiate with Tenacity, because that would be impactful to their contract regarding the split that they actually pay the city. So depending on looking at the loss of programming that they would take, we would need to run the numbers and see what that looks like. And that's why when discussing the item, we did include that possible 3-month, if we already discussed it with our staff and had those initial conversations with Tenacity about doing an implementation. Let's just say, for example, we do April, May, and June to the end of the fiscal year to see what those numbers are. If we just exclusively do 6 and 7 for pickleball, what would those numbers look like and what would the impact look like? You would certainly hear from both communities at that point because it would be implemented, but then we would then look at striping, coming back for additional recommendations for funding and restriping for 6 and 7 and what that would look like to permanently make it that way. But we did talk to Tenacity about making that transition just for the 3 months. And did they have any concerns or?
No, they were in favor of that if that was something that the council recommended.
Yeah, they were willing to work with the city and implement that to get some feedback and what that looked like.
Councilmember Erickson, then I have a couple of questions and comments.
Well, I've spoken enough. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, my first comment, I think, just goes along your lines, which is the courts that are currently programmed with Tenacity programming, that's part of their revenue that they're generating from the lessons, from the group lessons. So I don't think we can unilaterally say give up that revenue without us renegotiating the contract. The second concern I have is 6 and 7 are currently striped for both. So when we have the Pride tennis tournament, I think they utilize all of the courts. I don't know that, but we certainly, I don't want us to create a situation where that tournament then no longer has a place to operate in the city. So I guess I would prefer, even if we designate 6 and 7 as primary pickleball, that we at least leave the striping so that they could be converted for special events to tennis. It sounds to me like, that if we're going to if there's a demand for pickleball, which I know there is, if we say that 6 and 7 are priority for pickleball, and if they aren't scheduled, then it could be used for either pickleball or tennis. But it doesn't seem like we have any courts that the first usage is for pickleball. Or am I incorrect there?
At Plummer Park, there is one mixed-use pickleball paddle court, which is a whole another equation, but there is a mixed-use paddle court pickleball. But the majority of the people that do play are courts 6 and 7 at Plummer Park. And there is no dedicated pickleball court currently in the city.
So I'm supportive of having that, either 1 or 2 that are dedicated and that's their primary use, but that they could still be used for tennis if there wasn't a demand at a particular time. Is that doable?
We will work with our facilities team to look at that, because that's what it comes down to, the space and the space that's required with each court location and what that looks like as far as striping and the dedicated courts that we'll have to look into.
It sounds like there's at least a majority in favor of having some form of dedicated pickleball courts at Plummer Park.
Yeah, that's why when discussing this item, we did go back to Tenacity and asked if they were interested in at least that 3-month. That's why we put it like implemented before or during July. So if that's the direction, we're happy to do that as a 3-month trial period, but that obviously per council's direction. And then we can come back with some information and data at that point. And we can come back with the numbers at that point, what that looks like.
Councilmember Erickson.
I'm going to throw a wet blanket. I don't want to do any of that. I'm sorry. I want to dedicate 6 and 7. I want to be done with it. I don't want a pilot program. I don't want to come back in 3 months and say, oh, here it is. Pickleball costs more than tennis in the reservation system. More reservations are a good thing. And I think, and I agree with what Councilmember Byer said, it's just time to do this and move forward and move on. And here's the thing, Tenacity is going to do whatever we tell them to do. I know we have a contract with them. They hired lobbyists. They called every person in the Rolodex in the pickleball world to get them to like them when that contract was going up, because there was a lot of bad blood between them and a lot of people in the community. They spent a lot of time to make sure they stayed in West Hollywood. So if Tenacity doesn't want the contract anymore after we're giving them more business and they're doing just fine, happy to have that conversation. But I'm kind of done like saying, let's do this pilot program. 6 and 7 pickleball courts, done, and move forward. If Tenacity wants to say, you know what, we just don't want to do business with the city anymore, have Josh give us a call and we'll make sure we see what he actually thinks about that. So my motion, I'm going to make a motion, is to move the item as directed. And if my colleagues would like to introduce a substitute motion, they're happy to, but I would like to move forward with this item if there's a second.
Well, I don't see a second, so let's see if we
Councilmember-
can come up with a...
Are you saying as it's written on this form?
Yes.
I think we're talking about the same thing. It's about the first step is making, it's a two-phase thing. So the first thing will be adjusting those courts immediately, that system, so 6 and 7 are dedicated pickleball right away. And then you said 3 months from now is about a restriping. That's what's in the item, based on some of that feedback.
We could do that, but just to clarify, Councilmember Erickson, you're talking, do not do the temporary 3-month period, just completely turn them 6 and 7 now.
If you want to report back in a year to the Plummer Park Subcommittee about how it's going, that's fine, but I'm kind of over the, I've been having a pickleball tennis conversation for as long as I've been on this council, and I just 6 and 7, that's kind of where I was at.
Well, I think we are achieving that tomorrow, right away, 6 and 7 dedicated pickleball. But the second phase of that is still this important conversation about the flexible facility use per Mayor Heilman's comments about how do we long-term not undermine a, Pride tennis program.
Sure.
So that's the question. That's the second part
If that's
of it.
what makes my colleagues happy and we get 6 and 7 dedicated, I'm willing to make that amendment to the motion. But it sounds like we're getting pushback from staff, is what I'm hearing.
They're already striped for pickleball, correct?
They're already striped 6 and 7. Yes, they're already striped for pickleball. I was just confirming with Mike how far in advance individuals can reserve, because some will still be reserved for tennis and pickleball. So we'll have to go to the transition phase of informing players that they're only going to be dedicated for pickleball. Work with Tenacity on transitioning those to purely 6 and 7 pickleball. Go for 3 months from that phase, that point on until July 1, and we can come back with an implementation. But then we would have to go from there, if that's the direction.
And the implementation of the facility itself, how the facility sort of gets reworked, should that 3 months.
For 6 and 7?
Yes.
Correct. We can
Okay.
come back with numbers, how many reservations were there, how many residents, how many non-residents, what were the hours of operation, and what that looked like for that 3-month period. If you're looking for us to start in April, May, June, we could do that. I know outreach is a big concern for some council members on what that looks like. So in order to inform the tennis and pickleball players and give them enough time to be used to that transition, that's why when we met with Tenacity, we kind of came up with this timeline for a March rollout of implementation and information, that it would start April 1st. I would need to look at a calendar specifically, but for April, May, June, that's when they would transfer over to pickleball only, and then we can get the numbers from there. And if that's the point, then we can work with facilities at that point to do either or.
That all makes sense to me. And just to speak to Councilmember Erickson's concerns of not wanting, I'm of the opinion that tonight we're making a decision to go forward with permanence. What the facility application looks like after some time is still a question to me. I'm less concerned about getting feedback that tennis players don't want to see those courts change. I imagine we're going to get that feedback in this change. But my interest is more in how is the facility being upgraded, what is the plan for that moving forward, and what is Tenacity's plan to look at courts 3, 4, and 5 when it comes to the programming, and what flexible opportunities do we have there to create more public use? So
yes.
Okay, that just wanted to make sure we're totally on the same page.
Yes, and staff, that's why they've discussed with Tenacity, not
Great.
just in the last couple months, but since we've heard that this request was coming up on what that would look like for them, and as far as their programming impact and how they would assist us in that transition and doing that. And that's why when Mike spoke with them in their ongoing meetings, they were, happy to work with us on that. It's just the implementation.
Perfect.
And just to clarify, 3, 4, and 5, that is public use. It's just not open public use. It's programmed by Tenacity for lessons and group activities, et cetera.
Camps, yeah, camps, lessons, depending upon the season.
I think it's just worth mentioning that the players can reserve those spaces if it's not being used for programming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And maybe it would be helpful to know how many hours that is programmed and how many hours it's available for open play. Great. I think we have consensus here. Is that, are we comfortable with the direction? There's a motion and a second. And thank you, Councilmember Byers, for clarifying some of the details. Are we ready to vote?
5-0.
It's approved. Thank you. Thank you to the members of the public who spoke as well. We will now turn to excluded consent calendar. There aren't any. Are there additional public comments, Melissa? We do have.
Yes, Kevin Burton had signed up for general public comment, but I don't see him, so I'm going to remove him. And then we have Kathy Blavis.
And Stephanie Harker.
Yes.
Well, I was Kathy Blavis, City of West Hollywood. I was actually going to comment on a comment that Councilmember Erickson made, but he seems to have fled the interview, so to speak.
He can hear you in the back.
Oh, good. We can't hear you, but you can hear us.
That's good.
I just wanted to comment on the usage of Great Hall, Long Hall. Obviously, for well over a decade, there was so much contention about that building. The building for over a decade was what we consider to be demolition by neglect. That is the truth. The lack of programming, the lack of any activation of that building was not because of the community's needs. It was because it was demolition by neglect. If and when that building is ready to be occupied again, there is no end to what the community has pointed out that they'd like to see happen in that space. I just again wanted to reiterate the need for the school is there, but the need for the community to give up one public facility for a single usage, I think, is not the intention of what a public facility building is used for. I'm adamant about this, as adamant as you, the vote is to consider Great Hall, Long Hall, but the feasibility study, or the study that's been happening for the last couple of years with community, that's not the overwhelming want or need. So I hope when it comes to it, you'll reconsider. And one more thing, years ago, Mayor John Duran suggested we could take over by eminent domain the car wash and turn that into park space. So that's just a thought.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie Harker.
Hello again. Stephanie Harker, City of West Hollywood. I want to repeat something to keep in mind when planning a preschool. It is imperative to distinguish between the general public use for all and a single-use dedicated private tenancy. Councilmember Byers, you mentioned the old plan and that there was a new two-story preschool plan which horrified several preschool owners as the children would have had to play on the roof. And the underground parking exhaust system in that plan was routed up through the preschool. The general population has to be separated on a preschool, especially outdoors. They can't play with the other children. There has to be a fence between it to designate it. So basically, you're taking that space and giving it to the single use when families with children from 5 to 12 are not allowed to be in that space. They're not allowed to play with their sisters or brothers at that time. So meaning that the student may not play with other members of the family at the park while in school. I love families and children, and for that reason, we want as much space as possible for all families, especially with those with children over 5. who do not have families enrolled in school. 80 students, which is what they're looking at, is 6,000 square feet, which cannot be used by other members of the public. So I'm sure that the company who will be doing this study will pay attention to all of these things, and we'll come back and see what we have. But again, we want as much space for as many families, not just lower income families who are taken into the school first. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes our public speakers. We'll now turn to any final council member comments and meeting attendance reports. Anyone want to start? Not you? Councilmember Meister, I'm looking at you.
Are you?
Yes.
I don't have a lot. Just that I swore in Kimberly Winnick to Public Safety Commission, and congratulations to Kim. And looking forward to Women's History Month.
Thank you. Councilmember Erickson?
Yes, thank you. And Kathy, apologies. I've been sniffling all day because of my allergies, so I ran back to get a Kleenex real quick. Well, you already had them, so apologies for that one. You know, so apologies. I attended a number of city events throughout this past weekend. I want to congratulate Emerald Village and Vice Mayor Hang on a wonderful cannabis event this Saturday, as well as a WeHo for All event and multiple other ones that were going on. Our city was full of life. Additionally, I want to thank my colleagues for their approvals on the items as well today. And additionally, thank you for the approval of moving to consent the ice-free zones in West Hollywood. All that we can do in our arsenal is critical. I also want to thank my colleague, Councilmember Meister, for her promoting the encouraging of neighborhood resilience teams. This is something I know you've been working on for a while, but I think that it continues to go in line with the services that we need to provide for any upcoming emergency, and I thought the item was very well done. So thank you very much for bringing that forward, and happy Women's History Month to everyone.
Yeah, especially us.
Especially you.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, happy Women's History Month. We are making history with our city manager, Jackie Rocco, here, so it feels especially special this year here in the city, and there's a huge calendar of events that I hope to see everyone else at in March. My attendance, I attended the National League of Cities Transportation and Infrastructure Services Policy Committee meeting, the Clean Power Alliance Energy Committee meeting, and a new meeting as chair of the West Side Cities Council of Government, the COG. I participated in a new convening of the chairs and executive directors of all the different COGs across LA County. So it was a great moment of sort of aligning our purpose, our values, trying to understand the very many different issues occurring at the county level that we can take part in, hearing what's happening in all of our different regions, and it intends to be a convening that'll continue moving forward. I'm glad that cities will continue to have voice and a new voice across the region representing our issues, and proud to represent the West Side COG and of course West Hollywood at that body. So I'll keep reporting back as those meetings happen, I think quarterly now. And then just some comments. I wanted to celebrate the opening of the all-way crosswalk. I was there 8 p.m. Thursday. A few other stewards in the community out there as well. It was really fun running around all directions. You can cross diagonally across the crosswalk now as well. Of course, the moment of it happening at 8 p.m., not everyone knowing what to do. I definitely shouted down some cars who were turning right on red. So it's a behavioral adjustment that'll have to be made. And I want to encourage us to think beyond the 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Part of encouraging that behavior is about making it a sustained, regular practice for the intersection and how we approach it. I know this was part of making sure that this works and that just even the systems were all operating. I saw our good staff out there making sure all the signs and lights were operating as they were meant to. So I'm hopeful that we can continue to look at how we can expand this service both in that crosswalk and other crosswalks across the city. And then I also just wanted to recognize and thank the council for the support on the ice-free zones. I agree with Councilmember Erickson. We have to continue doing what we can at the local level to advance protections for our own community. So thank you all tonight. See you out in the community.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended various events throughout the community, including the grand opening of our new beautiful Erewhon. I attended the grand opening of Clarity Eyewear in WeHo, located off of Melrose. And I also attended the 16th Annual National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day celebration here in West Hollywood. I wanted to thank all of my colleagues up here for supporting the Cannabis Culture Change Conference that took place here this past Saturday. It was a very successful event. I approached Scott Schmidt sometime in September with an idea to throw on a conference to uplift our cannabis industry here. I called our state treasurer, who immediately agreed to fly down. I called several professors at USC, my alma mater, who were more than willing to come and lend their expertise from the USC Mann School of Pharmacy, Dr. Terry Church, and also Dr. Sam Mastrona from the USC School of Social Work. And Scott and I both curated the panelists and all the keynote speakers. So it was a great occasion on Saturday. And I wanted to thank our staff especially for helping Scott to lift up the event, to put it together. Our staff worked very hard here, and it's not an easy lift to plan a conference all day. Andy and her team were pretty much on site the entire day, and it's often the work of the unsung heroes that make all of our visions come true. So I want to thank all of our staff for their hard work, and I want to thank Emerald Village, and I want to thank Councilmember Erickson and Mayor Heilman for coming to speak at the conference. You both gave very warming remarks, and that concludes my comments. Oh, one more comment. I just wanted to make a comment to all of our advisory board members and all of our commissioners. You are all an extension of each council member or the entire body if you're at large. Your behavior is watched and reported. You need to stick to the code of conduct and act professionally in your role as an advisory board member or a commissioner. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I also attended the grand opening of Erewhon, and if you haven't been in, I would really encourage you to go in. They did a beautiful job. It's a very popular space right now, and they've really enlivened the street. I also attended the grand opening for Clarity Eyewear. It's another great space and a welcome business. I want to thank the Vice Mayor for bringing forth the cannabis event. I attended that. It was also a well-organized event, and I wanted to thank Scott Schmidt publicly for all of his work, and as well the Vice Mayor for his assistance in organizing it. I attended our last Winter Sounds of the season, and it was very well attended. I think it was the busiest of all of them. And then finally, I just wanted to report, I'm on the board of Outright International, a global LGBTQ+ organization. Members of the organization have already learned about our agenda item tonight about non-discrimination, and one of them texted me with a photo of the council introducing that ordinance. So we are getting attention for the work that we're doing. Outright, we meet, our board meets in different locations because we have board members from all around the world. This year we met in West Hollywood, and the board members were all just so amazed at our community, from the AIDS Monument, the Rainbow Crosswalks, the facility here, the pools, the park, all of it. They just kept singing the praises of West Hollywood. They attended dinner at Gracias Madre. They were also at Hamburger Mary's for a drag show, and all of them just really appreciated the warmth that they received from all of the residents, and they stayed in West Hollywood hotels. So that was revenue coming in for our city. That's my last comment, and I think we are now adjourned. Yay.